Shalom nafshi bikravli ki berabim hayo imadi adam shalom nafshi mikravli ki
Shabbos for the kiddos will be here, right?
2 months.
hayo imadi yishmakel v'yanei v'yeshev kadam sala yishmakel v'yanei v'yeshev kadam sala asher lifeis lamai asherein chalifeis lamai velayar alaikim sholach yad v'shleimav chilel b'nisai rakud v'arav shemen v'heimam Ashlei al Hashem Yehavecha Vehu Yechakalecha Le'yimei le'yelam Me'la tzadik V'yata Elokim Teiri Deim Le'ver Shachat V'yata Elokim Teiri Deim Le'ver Shachat Anshei damim umirma la yachzu yemeya anshei damim umirma la yachzu ye hayvani yeftabar vani yeftabar vani yeftabar vani yeftabar vani yeftabar vani eftabar eftach bar vani yeftabar vani eftabar vani eftabar vani eftabar vani eftabar hey vani eftabar hey vani eftabar vani ואני אפתח בו, ואני אפתח בו, אפתח בו, אפתח בו. So everyone has l'chaim.
David, to you?
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Here. Here. Take out the book. It's good. Adam is good.
Need some more l'chaim. You can't fall asleep on your job. You need more l'chaim.
More l'chaim. White, right? White or red? What? Adam. Do you have more white? White. Thank you. Just came in time. Today I'm under the weather, so you take my job.
L'chaim, l'chaim. First of all, get Yom Tov.
Yom Tov.
It is this is the day that Chassidim and Kol Beis Yisrael who appreciate the teachings of Teres Baal Shem Tov and Teres Chassidus in general, Chassidus Chabad in particular, understand the significance of this day. That this is a day which we have to celebrate. But the question is, how do you celebrate? Today's parsha begins with Yosef HaTzadik having a dream. And what is the dream? That all the brothers have gathered together in the field, and they're ma'almi malumim b'seich hasada. They're gathering sheaves. They're making bundles of wheat. And then, in the midst of their process of bundling, making their bundles of wheat, the moment has come when v'ateshtachavenu lalumasi, when they all united in showing a certain level of subservience, dedication to Yosef. And that is the two-pronged step that happens in the Farbrengen. The first thing that happens in the Farbrengen is that you got to show up. You come. Well, you're here. Those who are here are here. That's a wonderful thing. And those who are tuning in are tuning in. And those who will watch a replay will watch the replay. But the first thing is that you have to hear that the day of Yud Tes Kislev has arrived. It means something to you. And you want to connect to this day. And the very fact that you participate on whatever level you participate means that you tune in to the day of Yud Tes Kislev. That's step number one. Step number two is something which is a little bit more difficult. And that is that it's not just lip service. It's not just that you tuned in. It's not just that you happen to be in the field. When ma'al malumim b'seich hasoda, you're in the process of busying yourself with avoda of gathering the various sheaves of wheat. But you understand, and there's an appreciation that there needs to be a vatashtakhavenu larumasi. You need to give yourself over to a higher cause, which that's step number two. In the late Yuds, the late 50s, when the first organized effort to travel from Eretz Yisrael to spend Tishrei with the Rebbe. So my great uncle, Rabbi Shmaryahu Gurari, who lived in Tel Aviv, was one of the chief organizers. And that time, while it was an organized effort, but it wasn't a charter plane per se, not everyone took the same flight. They made arrangements. They perhaps bought group tickets. I don't know what was the significance of the organization, but in those days, to travel from Eretz Yisrael to America meant that.
What year was that?
We're talking about the late 50s. It was many stops of refueling. There was no direct flights, and it was a process. And then, if you left at a certain date and you were planning to arrive at another date, that doesn't mean because you left on that date, didn't mean you can't take it for granted that you're arriving on a particular date, because every stop in the way had its hiccups. So the first group arrived, and the Rebbe, a few days before Rosh Hashanah, held a special Farbrengen as a Kabbalah's panim for the Orchim greeting the guest. So at that time, my great uncle went over to the Rebbe with a l'chaim, whether it was wine or l'chaim, and he asked the Rebbe for a bracha. In Yiddish, he said, l'chaim, as divas darfen ankommen, sollen ankommen. L'chaim, that those who have yet to arrive should make it here, should arrive. Yeah, it's a simple request. And those under the circumstances, that was important to ask that bracha. But the Rebbe responded with a play on the words. The Rebbe said, L'chaim, adiva zenen angekommen, sollen ankommen. L'chaim, that those who physically have arrived should arrive. Meaning that they should be not just registered present. They should immerse themselves. They should be here. They should arrive. They should fully become part of the spirit of the purpose of what they traveled for. So I say the same thing tonight. The fact that we're all here together, that's step number one, which is a wonderful thing. Don't take it for granted. That on a Thursday night,
Cold weather.
Winter is approaching. So compared to what the weather was 5 weeks ago, it's cold. Compared to what the weather is going to be in 3 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now, who knows? You'll say, I wish we had the Yud Tes Kislev weather, right? But the fact that 219 years after an event, that there are people who are still interested in coming they want to come, they want to be part of this Yud Tes Kislev celebration. That is a terrific thing, and that is step number one, and that's extremely important, and no one should take it for granted, and no one should think that this is something which is mabakach. It's something which, however, we have to remember that we're not celebrating a Jewish event. We're celebrating an event that happened with the Alter Rebbe, which the Alter Rebbe was the epitome of that we don't do things mechanically. We don't do things just to register that we're present. But everything has to happen in a pneumiastic way. It has to sink in. It has to be internalized. And that doesn't just happen. You can't just come and have a good piece of sushi with some popcorn and brownies and say, hey, we did it. We were here. Yud Tes Kislev 2017. We did it. Tafshin Ayin Ches. but rather it is necessary that which was the lifelong work of the Alter Rebbe should have some effect on us in a real way. So Chaim. Chaim, we should arrive.
Amen.
Chaim. Okay. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, 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 hi.
That's the salsa, right?
Thank you. Hi, ya, ya, la, 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 ya, ya. Hi, ya, ya, la, ma, 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 ma. Hi, hi. Hey, ya, 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 hi, ya, ya. Hi, ya, 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 hi, ya, ya, ma, 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 hi. Hi, hi. Hey, ya, ma, 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 ma. Dere ya, ma, 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 ma. Hey, ya, ma, 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 hi. Hi, hey, yo, yo, hey. Ya, ma, 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 ma. Oh, ya, hey. How I did it right, how I did it right, how I did it, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, ma, 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 ma. Yeah, ma, 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 yeah, ma, 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 ma. Ya, ma, 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 ma. Chaim. Chaim, Chaim. Like every Yom Tov, we're not just spectators that are trying to experience what it feels like to commemorate an event that happened 3,300 years ago by Yetzias Mitzrayim, whether it's the actual event of Yetzias Mitzrayim or the Besukas Shaftis B'nai Yisrael in the Midbar and post Yetzias Mitzrayim, or we're trying to experience Matan Torah, or we're trying to experience something that happened not 3,300 years ago, but 2,400 years ago with the miracle of Hanukkah, or the miracle of Purim that happened a few hundred years earlier. So we are here, American citizens in the free world in the 21st century, and we're trying to relate to something that happened thousands of years ago. But in the Megillah it says that Vayamim Ha'ela Niskarim V'Nasim. That the purpose of the Niskarim, the purpose of commemorating and remembering, is in order to relive. And the truth is that we say it clearly in the Haggadah that B'chol der v'der chayev adam liras es atzmai ki'ilu hu yatzim Mitzrayim. It's not lo yesaveseinu b'vad gol HaKadosh Baruch Hu eleisanu haitzim. It happened to us. Never then, you can't just give lip service. Read Haggadah. You come to Pesach and you go, oh yeah. Also, why are we saying B'chol der v'der? Because Kain Aseh Hillel. You know, if everything we do in Pesach is because Kain Aseh Hillel, so it has Yan upon them. We're coming, we're present at the Seder, we're reading some text, and we're commemorating something that happened, whether it was Bizman Shebeit HaMikdash Yikayam, or it happened 1,000 years earlier during Yetzias Mitzrayim. Aber Tzemir hat es nicht. I have nothing to do with it. It's just because it's nostalgic. I remember the Seder of my Seder. Remember they say FOMO. Anyone know what FOMO means?
What does that mean?
It's an acronym. Fear of a missed opportunity. You're afraid. You want to be part of every party. You want to be there. Why? Because maybe something fancy is going to happen at the Seder. Maybe someone's going to say, I'm in the kavart that they heard on Haggadah. So that's why you're going through all the motions. But that's not the point. The point is that every year when it comes Pesach, it is necessary for us to relive the events of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And it's necessary for us to relive the events of Matan Torah, the events of Hanukkah, the events of Purim, etc. So in order to be able to not just be present at a Farbrengen of Yud Tes Kislev, but rather to relive and to internalize the message, we have to first relate some of the Rashi Prakim. A synopsis of what happened on Yud Tes Kislev, and to understand that what happened on Yud Tes Kislev 219 years ago is not an event of the past, but the objective is that tonight we should be able to understand every aspect of Yud Tes Kislev as how it affects us today, here in Brooklyn, New York, Tafshin Ayin Ches. In other words, the Meiser, the arrest, is not something that happened 219 years ago, but the concept, the opposition to what the Alter Rebbe stands for is alive and well today. The people may be different. And I'm not talking about opposition necessarily in groups of people. Not trying to label anyone in specific. But in idea, those ideas that opposed the Alter Rebbe 219 years ago, that led to the Alter Rebbe's arrest, is alive and well today. A. B. Let's think for a moment what happened. How many components are there with regard to Yud Tes Kislev? So we have to understand a klal that's a yesod in Yiddishkeit. There's two sides to every story. Wow. That sounds like it's not Yiddishkeit. That's a fundamental. Everyone knows there's two sides to every story. But there's a principle in Emunah and a fundamental concept in Chassidus that teaches us like this. There is the victim and the perpetrator. And just because it happens to be that the perpetrator is the cause of the suffering of the victim, it doesn't mean that the victim is suffering because of all the intentions that the perpetrator had in causing the pain. There's two worlds. There's the world of the mazik, and there's the world of the nizik. The world of the mazik is not necessarily holy. It is holy, but it's not necessarily holy. What do I mean it's holy, but it's not necessarily holy? Here we're going to get sidetracked for a moment. The very fact that a Jew is able to be over Aveira comes from a very holy concept. That sounds very sacrilegious to me. What does it mean? That the fact that a Yid is able to be over an Aveira comes from a holy Yesod. What is that holy Yesod? It's called Bechira Chavshis. Bechira Chavshis is a foundation of Emunah. Because Hashem wants us to have Bechira Chavshis, and that is so important to Hashem, He makes it that we have the ability to act in the most despicable way. Our act is despicable, but the possibility to act in a despicable way, Yisaydasai, Baharei Kodesh. It comes from a very lofty idea. It comes from the idea that it's possible the Eibishter gave only those who He created b'dmusay u'b'tzalmay, He gave them the ability to have true Bechira Chavshis. Trump did not have Bechira Chavshis yesterday. No, only a Yid has Bechira Chavshis. But we have Bechira Chavshis. So when a Yid causes pain to another Jew, from the perpetrator's point of view, the only reason he did it is because Roya Bechirasai. He chose to be bad. But the question is, okay, when the person is being over in Aveira, when he is being a perpetrator of facilitating pain, God gave him Bechira Chavshis. But the victim, who's the receiving end, who is suffering, why in the world should he suffer? The answer is Sebashert. What does it mean Sebashert? We usually use the word Bashert when something phenomenal happens, something spectacular. You met your loved one under the most interesting circumstances. Oh, that was Bashert. Yiddishkeit tells us, Chassidus teaches us, the Baal Shem Tov taught that everything that happens to us in our lives was Bashert. Hence, in every story there's two sides to the story. From the perpetrator's point of view, the reason why he caused pain was because he chose Bechira Chavshis to be a bad guy today. But the shaila is, why did the Eibishter want that the victim should suffer? Because of Roya Bechirasai. So there's a Tama Yidul Yotzroi. The Eibishter has a reason why the Nizek, why the one on the receiving end, the victim, has to suffer. Not always do we know what the reason is. So we come back to the story of Yud Tes Kislev. We have to divide the story into two parts, which we're going to see soon that it's maybe Shtayim Shem Shalish or Shtayim Shem Arba. I don't mean to give a gewaldige Grace Shir over here. It's late at night. It's like a Thursday night. Leil Shishi, Lamachna Chabura. But we're not going to make any Chaburas over here. We're just going to fanander nemen the yonim so we could understand what we're talking about over here. So you have, what is the story of Yud Tes Kislev? There were those who were misnagdim l'shitas hachasidus. They opposed the way of Chasidus for theological reasons. They had a different shita in Amunah because of fears of concern of the unknown. There's a new age movement. Who knows if it's good for Yiddishkeit or it's bad for Yiddishkeit? This is all if it was L'Shem Shemayim. And in every machlokes, there are those who are L'Shem Shemayim, and then there's the Shulei HaMachana. There are those who tag along, who love Dafka L'Shem Shemayim, but they fan the flames. So that happens from the perpetrator's point of view. How they caused that the Alter Rebbe should be incarcerated, should be imprisoned. And the answer is, Pashut. They came up with a libel, they came up with a story to convince the Russian government that the Alter Rebbe is engaged in revolution against the Tsarist Russia. Okay? But the question then becomes, that is Roya Bchirasam. That is their evil intent of what caused them to want to stop the Alter Rebbe, to want to put the Alter Rebbe in prison. But if we believe, as Yehudim and Mamidim, B'nai Mamidim, that everything that happens in this world is Basheret, and is Bashkara Pratis, stellt sich the Shaila, the question becomes, what did the Eibishter want over here? Why did the Eibishter want that they should be successful in their mission, and that the Alter Rebbe should have to suffer, and that Chassidim, who were totally unaware, there were no WhatsApp groups, there was no Facebook, there was no channels that you could tune in and find out, there was no Vasas Nayas, the yeshiva world, all these, there was nothing. So, stell sich vor that for 53 days, the vast majority of Hasidim had no clue what is happening with Alter Rebbe. They were fasting. They were saying Tillim. They were in terrible pain and agony and started the Shaila, Lama, Osa, Havaya, Kocha. Why in the world would the Eibishter want that so many Chassidim should suffer? That Alter Rebbe should suffer? So there's a reason. So that is what's the Eibishter's reason. And what is the reason? We'll say in a moment what the reason is. And then there's a third component. What the fourth component I didn't yet figure out. But Shtayim Shem Shalosh I think there is. And that is, don't take it for granted that just because those who tried to get rid of Hasidus were able to cook up a story and come with a case against the Alter Rebbe to the Russian government, we don't have to take it for granted that the Russian government needed to accept their claim. We're talking about anti-Semites. And we're talking about Tsarist Russia. What does it take to convince Nikolai, a Russian, that Alter Rebbe is a troublemaker? But here goes the flip side of what we said before. We said before that the ability for a Yid to cause pain to another Yid is Ra. But you say, Dosei B'harei Kodesh, because it's only because the Eibishter gave a Yid B'chira Chofshis. The Eibishter gave a Yid that should be B'tzalmoi, B'dmusoi, that just like the Eibishter has B'chira Chavshis, and just like the Eibishter Atav V'chartonim Mikol Ha'amim chose us from all the nations, B'chira Chavshis, so too did He endow us. As the Rambam says in Meir Nevuchim, and the Alter Rebbe quotes the Rambam and says that this which Heina Adam Yeh Ka'achad Mimenu is that a Yid is Musi V'tzamai, just like the Eibishter has B'chira Chavshis, so does a Yid have B'chira Chavshis. But that's a Yid has B'chira Chavshis. A Goy doesn't have B'chira Chavshis. So if a Goy accepts the claim of the Yid, and because of that launches a case against the Alter Rebbe and causes the Alter Rebbe to have pain and causes the Alter Rebbe to suffer in prison, in a certain sense, it's rooted also Yisidas B'Harei Kodesh. This must be Ratzon Elyon. And then there's an Arba. What's the Arba? Zechdemont. Amol, you say something that it's Shtayim Shem Sholosh, Arba, you're not sure, but it's Mitzelt HaMaisa, that when they first came to search the Alter Rebbe went into hiding. He didn't want to encounter the people who are coming to get him. And then he met Rabbi Shmuel Munkus. Shmuel Munkus said, "My high. What is this all about? What is this hiding all about?" And Shmuel Munkus said the following: "Ma nefshach. Zem tira Rebbe v'tayich hakol nish nemen. If you're a Rebbe, if you're a holy man, if you're a godly man, then no bullet can get you. Zem tir nish ta Rebbe. If you're not a Rebbe, then what right did you have to rob so many Chassidim from a Geshmak and Olam Hazeh? You took away the lust and the temptations of this world. You preach so much how you're not supposed to indulge in the Taivas Olam Hazeh. What right do you have if you're phony? In other words, if you're not a Rebbe, if you're not for real, then what right did you have? You have to suffer. In other words, so because of that, when the Alter Rebbe heard that, he agreed to cooperate, and he submitted himself, which is just the beginning of the story. It's not the whole story. The Alter Rebbe was a Ish Eliki, was a godly man. And the Alter Rebbe was a miracle maker. Shtelz the Shaila, so why didn't he make a miracle that he shouldn't have to go to prison? Furthermore, we know that on his way to prison it was Friday. And as soon as Chatzois came, as soon as Friday afternoon, midday arrived, he told the wagon driver, "You must stop because I have a minhag. I do not travel, and it's really a din Shulchan Aruch. I don't travel after Chatzos." Hagoy, vet nispol. That it says in Shulchan Aruch that you're not supposed to travel after Chatzos. Hat gefeift. Oh yeah. So Alter Rebbe showed him. First, a wheel started coming off the wagon, then a horse died, etc., until the driver had no choice but to park and realize that it ain't happening when not driving. So if the Alter Rebbe is able to cause that the wagon should stop and not drive further, because what? Because there's a shter to Chilul Shabbos over here, couldn't he take care of the whole thing? So von dann ist gedrungen, Kamash Malon, that the Alter Rebbe agreed, whether initially he was trying to hide, and we need pshat, and why he was trying to hide, and whether it was Rabbi Shmuel Munkes that convinced him, or whatever it is, but Saf Kol Saf, it is clear that the Alter Rebbe agreed to going into prison. So here we have the 4 different parts of the story. And each of these stories have to have a bechein. We have to understand what does it mean to Tav Shnai Ches, not just what it meant to Tav Kuf Nun Tes. Who are those that are menagid to the Alter Rebbe today, that for their reasons are putting the Alter Rebbe into prison? What is it that the Eibishter is agreeing that Al Nizik, he has to suffer? What is it that for that reason, another component, the Goy that has no Pchir Chavshis agrees to be part of this? And then the ultimate question is on the Alter Rebbe himself. Why did the Alter Rebbe agree? To leave you with the question without an answer is not fair, but to answer this the way you're supposed to answer is also not fair, because but the answer in short is that Yid in Tafshin Ayin Ches should be able to have a geschmack in Inyan Eliki, to be able to enjoy having a connection to Elikus, to be able to do a mitzvah in a unique way as the Alter Rebbe would want to do a mitzvah. This is overly simplifying it. This is the nekuda. This is the tamsis, a synopsis of what we want to talk about tonight. But Eid Chazei L'Maid is the Eid Hayem Gadol, even though that it's Laila. But someone told me on my way here that Bamas is like Lel Yitzis Mitzrayim, that Laila Kayem Yoyer. So so we still have time to talk about these inyanim, but the main thing is that it's not just that we're here and that we arrived, but that these nekudas have to come into Pnimius. It has to have an effect on us. L'chaim. Keliyata.
I sent you that.
Hey, Elika Yarei Mimeka. Hey, Kayli Yata V'Yedeka. Elika Yarei Mimeka. Kayli Yata V'Yedeka. Elika Yarei Mimeka. Kayli Yata V'Yedeka. Elika Yarei Mimeka. Kayli Yedeka. Elika Yarei Mimeka. Kayli Yata Elika Yarei Mimeka. Right now it's okay. We're still good. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Thank you.
So, let's start from the Alter Rebbe's point of view. Why would the Alter Rebbe agree to be party to this? If the Alter Rebbe was able to cause that the wagon driver wanted to drive and continue to drive should not continue to drive, so he could have stopped the whole thing. And the truth of the matter is that years later, the Alter Rebbe encountered the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, which the Alter Rebbe had a few encounters with him. One time the Alter Rebbe said to him, "You are the physical grandson, I'm the spiritual grandson." But this time, the Alter Rebbe came into Rabbi Mezbish's territory, so to speak, to raise money to help Pashut Yidden who were suffering. And the Baruch Mezbish wasn't so happy that Alter Rebbe was tapping into his resources, or maybe he wasn't so happy with the cause. Never know. There are tzaddikim elyon that have different ways and different approaches, that have different shittos. And we are not going to go in by the Harim Ha'ila to go in to discuss the difference between the Alter Rebbe and Baruch Mezbish. Only what we do know. What do we know? That Baruch Mezbish asked the Alter Rebbe a question. And it wasn't just a question in order to get clarification, in order to be able to understand. But he challenged the Alter Rebbe. Knowing the Alter Rebbe, knowing his holiness and knowing his abilities, he asked the following question. He says, "Why did you have to spend 53 days in prison? If you're a true follower of the Baal Shem Tov, and if you have all the mystical powers of the Baal Shem Tov, then all that was necessary was that there should be Avodas Hayad al Metzach. Take your hand, motion it over your forehead, remove all the chitzonium, which means all the klipos, the evil forces in the world that only have a unika, only survive because of a chitzonius dekachayas that gives them energy. B'mayver yad al metzach, remove the chitzonius energy, and you would cause them to disappear. There's another source that tells us that the Alter Rebbe instructed his Hasidim before he went into prison. He said that no one has permission to come to Petersburg. And later the Alter Rebbe explained that he was concerned that if Hasidim gather in Petersburg, Hasidim were Baalei Madrega, they were holy men. So if they would gather in Petersburg and they would have kavanas and they would daven, they could have burned down the prison, literally or figuratively. They could have melted the whole opposition of the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe didn't want that. And the Berach Mezbish is asking, why not? So the Alter Rebbe said, look, in last week's Parsha, Yaakov also was able to melt Esav, but he chose to send him a doirin. And the Rabbi later explained, and the Rebbe quotes this, the Rebbe spoke of this at great length in either Tafshich Chav Gimel, Chav Daled, Yud Tes Kislev, and the Rebbe explained that of course the Alter Rebbe was able to overcome all the challenges that happened in that generation by overwhelming the opposing forces and by melting them, by burning them. But then, we go back many years, it's okay. But then, if it would have been through overwhelming the opposing forces, through overwhelming the Chitzonim, through Avodas Hayad HaMetzach, by removing the power to the Chitzonim, that would have caused, in a certain sense, a superficial victory over the opposing forces. And what then? What would be the problem? The problem would be that the ideas that Alter Rebbe stood for, the life mission of the Alter Rebbe, to transform a mindset, to transform a world that seems to be void of revealed Godlichkeit, revealed godliness, should be able to become permeated with godliness, that a person should be able to live in this world and not just say and give lip service to Kodesh, 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 Hashem Tzavokes, Molech Haaretz Kavoidai, and think that this is some type of nice fairy tale, but has nothing to do with reality. Because Vaharaya, there's so much schmutz in the world. So how can you say Molech Haaretz Kavoidai when the world is filled with schmutz and dirt? And the Alter Rebbe wanted that somehow, Zozach Oplegen, we should be able to have a true epiphany, that we realize that which says Molech Haaretz Kavoidai is not a pasuk in Tanakh, but Mikra Niderish, and therefore it's real. It's emes, and emes lamitoi. This is emes. This is the real reality. We have kashas. If Molech Haaretz Kavoidai, how could it be shmutz, and how could it be chitzonim, and how could it be klippus and zitrachra, how could it be ra, how could it be all that? Is a good kash, and verstein. And there's terutzim. Don't think that I'm just trying to brush it off and say. But the reality is, if the pasuk says that Molech Haaretz Kavoidai, that is emes lamitoi. And if it's emes lamitoi, our life has to be transformed. We have to have a different type of attitude towards life. So, the Alter Rebbe has a choice. to take all the Chitzayim and say it's fake, it's nothing. I'm going to just be my Yad al Meitzach. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to say it's out. Hevel avolim, sidach alt hevel avolim, right? We could dance also and say it's alt hevel avolim, right? You understand what it means? The alt hevel avolim einay mavadei. This is a lofty concept. It's real. So amas lamitoi. It's just that this hevel avolim is the Chalt Hevel Avolim is Mechayiv. Just like Rabbi Mechayiv Aniyim, when a person says the Chalt Hevel Avolim Einay Movadoi, it's supposed to be Mechayiv. Never then, Sigringe zu singen. It's much easier to sing. It's much easier to give lip service. But to contemplate, I'm a meitas metanemes, as alt hevel avolim einay movadei. Ados shein, it's a very tall order. Das mont, it's mechayev. Our life has to change. Our life has to live according to this doctrine. And Alter Rebbe had two choices: either to prove superficially as alt hevel avolim, that would have been a visual. If the Alter Rebbe would have just put his hand over the forehead and removed all the opposition and all the opposing forces and the Tsarist Russia, it would have melted down. So it would have seemingly been a perfect visual of a tzedakah hevel avolim. But what is the problem? For the Alter Rebbe could accomplish that. But what's going to happen when Avraham Sternberg is going to put avodas hayad al meitzach? Yeah, I don't see it. Nothing happened. I did it. Avodas hayad al meitzach. The Welt steht. There's no hevel avolim. Where's the einay movadei?
That's the Monday blessing.
We need different glasses. But the problem is, the Alter Rebbe didn't want that there should be a difference. That the Alter Rebbe is able to do avodas hayad al meitzach, but the average Jew can't do that. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe wants that it should come down into a way where every single Jew is we're able to accomplish, at even if it's Ze'er Ampen, it's only a miniature format of realizing as the Alt Hevel Avolim, but we should realize it. We shouldn't just sing a song, we shouldn't just shake to the lyrics, but we should actually live by it. And for that, the Alter Rebbe was ready to suffer the consequences, to go through the motions, to sit in prison for 53 days, to cause so much agony to the Chassidim. The Chassidim shouldn't know what's happening with him. So that what? So that Saf Kol Saf, when there's a liberation, and he flee Hashem, Lasis Ba'aretz, that Hashem showed miracles that came down Ba'aretz, so that this world is able to see that the Chitzonim changed, not because of some magic that could only be accomplished by great tzaddikim like Rabbi Medrash and the Alter Rebbe, but so that the average Yid should be able to take a vert of Divrei Elokim Chaim, of Chassidus, and be able to internalize this in a way that it becomes reality. Shay, genug geret. Some of it was maybe hevel avolim. Well, hopefully, Asaf Kosaf Meredvek and Einay Mavade, that it should internalize. And with all the hand and takas Einay Mavade of Anamas. And Alvai, that we should have one moment of truth, one moment of realizing that when it says in a pasuk in Torah that Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish Hashem Tzavakis Mulei Chol Haaretz Kavodei, and when the Maimer Isaiah says Less Asar Ponim Minei, and when that there's no place void of the Eibishter, that when we say something, we should realize, as is emes, that it's not just a nice word. A nice word, and we can ausführen the Wolle ziehen, Geil, und nehmen Amen, Yiskado, Shmeirav. But rather, that we should realize that Sav Kol Sav, you had the word in Torah's emes, we had the pasuk in Torah's emes, and everything that happens in this world is for a reason, and it's talking to us, and the Kavanah Yena is waiting for us, despite the fact that we are nothing, and we are Hevel Avorim, the Kavanah für Tcheis durch uns. L'chaim.
Sofeino v'negva.
Foratsto. I assume you live in walking distance.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem, besser.
Ich werde da strašne geschenk.
Ja. Afke tut besser jetzt.
Baruch Hashem. Hey dazu.
Menachem Mendel bei Chaya bracht mir vorstellen.
Menachem Mendel Chaya bracht mir vorstellen. Ich habe gelernt by him when he was 69 and 70. Talking about 32, 33 years ago. Tashram Heim and Vav.
And you give him a shield?
Yeah, we learn. I'm on Salkos.
Yeah?
Yeah, Derech al good. Sharich v'muna. Oh, Farat Tzveina. We used to come Farbrengen and ein Babbat get schrien. I told you to come as we're talking about 69, not now.
Jetzt wird er zufrieden, dass
She's a lot younger than him. She's much younger.
Yeah, she's 10 years younger.
Yama v'keima tzafreina v'anek. Hey, Yama, ich habe einen Tat geweest. Tafshalam et tes. Hey, yo, Farasta Yama v'keima. Hey, yo, Farasta Yama v'keima. Hey, yo, Farasta Yama v'keima. Yama v'keima. Hey, Yama v'keima tzafreina. Hey, yo, Farasta Yama v'keima. Hey, yo, Farasta Yama v'keima. Hey, yo, Farasta
Yama tzafreina.
L'chaim. Is everyone saying l'chaim? The way that you acclimate yourself to Farbrengen is first rule is you take off your coat.
Yeah.
L'chaim. You see? Ayva vayisa. Shkoyach. L'chaim.
Chaim.
They tell a story. Yad Rebbe also had shluchim. He sent his talmidim to go and spread Chassidus. However, we know that there was a strong effort that Hasidism should not be spread. So how do you overcome that effort? So the Talmidim went undercover. They dressed themselves up in disguise. In what? Disguise of being Magidim. In those days there was no pulpit rabbis. Maybe there were, but not every shul had a pulpit rabbi. There were traveling rabbis that would go, and they would be the scholar resident for that Shabbos, and they would preach fire and brimstone. They would be that, encouraging people to do the right thing. And they were real people. They were real Magidim. The Magidim is rich. The Alter Rebbe was once called the Magid of Lozhna. The Korshnitzer Magid, it was given, but there were also a lot of, we know there were some phonies too, like in every industry, right? So here there was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe that dressed himself up under the disguise that he's a Magid. No, but he didn't have a chush hareich. So they're not going to take everyone for granted. You come with I'm a Magid. I want to preach. They got to vet him first. Got to test him. What do you mean you're a Magid? So, before Shabbos, they interview this Magid. They say, "No, tell me something. There's this new cut. There's this new group. What are your thoughts on this new cut, this new group?" Meaning the Hasidim. So the Magid said, "You know what the difference is between us and them and they? They are so full of themselves. All day, they can't stop thinking about themselves. But we occupy our mind all the time. We think about God." Well, the guys, the interviewees, the ones who were interviewing, they were very, the interviewers, they liked what they got. They liked that answer. He's one of our boys. He's okay. They gave him a full platform. Let him speak. He gets up there and he does a spiel. The first couple of minutes, no one knows what he is, and then he starts talking about Chassidus, and he starts talking about the importance of traveling to the Alter Rebbe and to become a Chassid and to learn Chassidus, etc., etc. He finishes his spiel, and he impresses quite a few people, and he even convinces them, but they have a problem. What's their problem? They come to him and said, "You lied. You told us that you hate the Hasidim. You said that they believe only in themselves, and we think always about Hashem, and now I see that you're changing your story." Yeah. So he said, "No, nothing has changed. Maybe I need to clarify. Maybe you misunderstood. But I've always kept the truth." And he goes on with the following explanation. Taheret mit kop. Listen carefully. He said like this. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim.
It's hard to compete with Kasha. Okay. So he said like this. Hasidim are convinced that Malay Chaloretz Kavoidai, that God fills the universe. So their mind is preoccupied the whole day. If the true reality is Hashem, since Malay Chaloretz Kavoidai and God fills the universe, starts the Shaila, Ani v'ata, me and you, how do we fit into the picture? Are we real or not real? Are we dreaming? Are we part of the reality? Yeah? So whole day they're busy thinking about themselves. Ja, emes, nicht emes. Ja, nicht. Ja, nicht. You know the story with the Meitzig or the Nish Meitzig? You know the story? Anyone know the story? No? Yechna knows the story. He's making believe he doesn't. Rabbi Marazov. I'm sorry. There was a someone, a darshan, that was darshaning, and he went on for hours and hours and hours without saying l'chaim in the middle, without singing songs, and without cracking some jokes in the middle, trying to make it a little bit interesting. So, you know, like they say about the Moshe Rabbeinu with the Shivim Skenim, that nishmetu echad echad. That by the time he was as he was progressing in his sermon, in his drasha, one by one left the door. But there was one Yid that was sitting, and it was like, du gedenkst dich Michel Pekarski? Aber schon, was ist bei Farbrengen? He was motioning to the sermon. He was like agreeing and disagreeing. He was going, and then go, no, no. And the rabbi was so excited that at least someone is paying attention. He agrees, he disagrees, at least someone is paying attention. Schein gewähren während der Geld. Nicht mit echad echad. Ich werde nicht das Paul. I got this one Jew. He is a genius. He agrees. He must be asking questions from this tractate, that tractate. Nope. He finishes after 2.5 hours. He finishes his speech. He goes over to the guy. No, what's your maskana? You agree or disagree? He says, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't understand the Haba word was good. I didn't begin to understand. Never done. Ich habe verloren mein Zieg. I lost my goat. At first, when I saw you, I said, you resemble the goat. Then, I searched further, I contemplated further. I don't think so. No. It's not the goat. But then I said, after fort, maybe it is the goat. Is the chazay, no, wees doch, mit der Quetsch mit der Finger. That's, als heb ich mitgehalten, the ganze Drosche. I was trying to figure out, bist du oder du bist nicht? Are you the goat or not? So the word is, that Chassidim have no question that Malay Chaloretz Kavoidai. What are they trying to contemplate? They're trying to figure out if the reality is that Malay Chaloretz Kavoidai, how do I fit into the picture? Do I fit into the picture? Don't I fit into the picture? Ja, or nicht. So the whole day they're busy thinking about themselves. What does it mean they're busy thinking about themselves? They're busy trying to figure out what is my role in this whole thing. Do I fit in or don't I fit in? But the true reality is, what they don't have a suffix, where there's no suffix, there's no doubt whatsoever that Malay Chaloretz Kavoidai. But those who perhaps are not yet fortunate enough to live with the reality of a likus, to live with the reality of Gatlikite, the first reality, what they're familiar with, is that which is tangible, that which they can see, that which they can feel. And there's nothing that we can feel more than ourselves. We're here. That's real. And since we are here, that's the real reality. So how we're busy trying to figure out, how does God fit into our reality? Is God real or not real? So hold on, thinking about God. It's real or not real? Emes, or maybe is God real or not real? Well, what's the point? We're not here to try to laugh at people or try to say that to knock people or to mock people, but rather to talk about the reality. And the reality is that we live in the 21st century. In a world where who would have contemplated 40 years ago that people would be interested in sushi? Huh? Seaweed! Fair! Raw fish! Let the Japanese eat it! Was hab ich zu tun mit them? Why should I like sushi? Never done. Never done. Monkey see, monkey do. Pliny eat sushi. Pliny eat sushi. Gemara sushi. Start to the Shaila today. If you see a bosser v'dam that does not have an affinity for sushi, start to the Shaila. Me yoimer that he's a real bosser v'dam. Maybe he's living in a third world country. If it's you don't like sushi. I don't like sushi. Not because I'm an Isha Laki. I personally don't like it. Never done. We live in a world where our attention span is limited. Because of motion pictures, because of notifications that our smartphones buzz at us constantly, because of the constant need of being plugged into so many facets at the same time. How in the world do we have mental space to think about the Ribono Shel Olam? So if you're trying to figure out who is the personification of the Misnagdim of 219 years ago, of those who took the Alter Rebbe and put him into prison for 53 days. We're not trying yet to figure out why the Alter Rebbe agreed, or why the Eibishter agreed. We're trying to identify who are the Misnagdim. You know who the Misnagdim are? Each and every one of us. What is the Misnagdim? What is the Isnagdus? Those things that pull us in so many directions. We need to be the first ones to know who passed away, and the first ones to know who's about to become engaged. I mean, I know we're talking about an older generation over here. Maybe no one is not that may not be interest to you, but we're trying to figure out the latest news. We have to be plugged in. We're busy. We're busy. Who has time for the Ribono Shel Olam? I don't mean, of course, we daven every day. There's no question we put on tefillin every day. There's no question we're kaveya yitim l'Torah. There's no question that we keep all the Yom Tovim, we do all the mitzvahs. But do we really live with the reality that Malay Chalaretz Kavaydai and Hu Levadai is the Emes Lamitoi, and everything else is sub-real, is not as real? We don't live with that reality. Why? Because we believe. We don't believe in it. What do you mean we don't believe in it? We could come to Ashir Tanya and we could learn, but it's not nectar. It's not something that is part of our reality. I want to share with you some experiences that I had standing by Farbrengen, by the Rebbe. And at the time I didn't understand what the Rebbe was talking about as much as I understand today what the Rebbe was trying to say. The Rebbe would quote a pasuk in Chumash of the Parshas Shavua, and he said he would constantly use that this is a phrase that you could say Hu HaYomer. And it was pretty much this is what it was in Yiddish. Now I'll translate for the benefit of those who don't know Yiddish. He says, Mit Ersh geleint in the Torah. Gemacht a bracha lefanah und a bracha lacharah. We just read this passage in the Torah, this pasuk in the Torah. And before we read it, we made a bracha lefanah. And after we concluded the reading it, we made a bracha lacharah. What was the Rebbe trying to add? No one knows. Kol baby rav the chad yoyma. Every kid who starts attending minyanim knows that before you read a pasuk in the Torah, berabim, you make Baruch Hashem Averach, you make Baruch Hashem Malkeinu Baruch Hashem Bachban Mekolamim, and after the oil of the Torah makes Ashnas Alon Torah Samen Zechayim Natzim Tzchenu. My Kamashmulan. Why is the Rebbe adding Mitach Esh Gemacht a bracha lefanah and a bracha lacharah? We made a bracha before the bracha afterwards. Very simple. How many people realize that if you learn halacha and you learn Gemara, we know that Safek bracha is lahakol. What is Pshat Safek bracha is lahakol? It's not stam a klal. Since brachas are divrayim, since brachas are only a drabonon, so when in doubt, don't make yourself crazy. It's much deeper. One of the Aseret Adibis is that we're not allowed to say Shem Hashem L'Shav. We're not allowed to make a bracha l'vatala. So if it's a safek bracha, if you're in doubt whether you're supposed to make a bracha, it's not just when in doubt. Be safe. It's be safe because chas v'sholem hayaleisia. You may be making a bracha l'vatala. Making a bracha l'vatala is far worse than making a bracha. So when a person realizes that which we just read in the Torah was preceded with a bracha lefanah and was concluded with a bracha lacharah, then we have to realize that there's no suffix that this is real, because hayaleisia, there is a suffix and a svek, and perhaps this is, maybe it's not 100% real. How in the world were you able to make a bracha lefanah? You were masker shem avayim levatala. How did you make a bracha lacharah? You were masker shem avayim levatala. So it's real. We have to realize that when we learn a pasuk in Chumash, it's real. And we learn halach in Shulchan Aruch, it's real. And when we do a mitzvah, it's real. And that's reality. So the Alter Rebbe sat in prison for 53 days. And he didn't just do Havaras Yad al HaMeitzach. And the reason is so that Avraham Sternberg and Rabbi Morozov and everyone around this table in Tafshin Ayin Ches should be able to have one moment of truth in their life and realize that when we say V'yadaita hayom v'ashevei sovavecha k'Hashem Elokim ein oid, that it's real. It's not a fairy tale. So this is a baba ma'isa. It's not something that's mizak ma'asaf l'chutz. No, das is emes u'nemes lamitoi, and there is nothing that is more real than this. And in order to do this, we have to go through the process. This cannot become automatic. We have to go through the motions. We have to try to understand it. and try to bring it down to reality and try to realize, yes, there is a world, but the world is not a menaged to Likus. You can work with the world to come to realization that there's a Likus. Why? Because it's real. If a Likus is real, the klal is that emes needs to be muskam mikol tzad apina. If something is true and absolute truth, then every single corner, every single angle needs to agree that it's true. If the only way you could prove that it's true is avaras hayada ametzach, then it can be true in your world, but it's not true in my world. It's not true in it's not true in every reality. But because the Alter Rebbe wanted that every single one of us should be able to relate to at some level that this is real, that this is true, that this is emes. What do we know about emes? Aleph, Mem, Sof, the first, the middle, the last. It's true, it's Mikol Tzadapina. So in order for that to happen, we need to realize that that's why the Alter Rebbe sat in prison 219 years ago. It's not something that happened then, but it's something that's happening today, because today we have the greatest challenge to realize that this is true, and yet we're able to realize that it's true. How are we able to realize it's true? When we learn the Perek Tanya, when we participate in Ashir Chassidus, when we discuss these concepts at Farbrengen, and you realize this is no monkey business. This is emes. This is real, and you're able to understand it. And it comes down in a way of Chabad, Chochmah Bina Das. That means you understand it clear. Then we're able to live in a way that this is emes. And for that, it was worth it. That the Alter Rebbe should be able to overcome the greatest isnagdus, the greatest opposition that existed. And he should be able to prove it in a way, as Alter Rebbe writes in the letter, that Hifli Hashem Lasis Barit, that even a goy, the Sarei Amim, the ministers of the Tsarist Russia, were able to understand that Alter Rebbe was for real, that it was truth. And if they could understand, then we should also be able to understand. And halavai, we should understand be'emes lamitu l'chaim. Ay, 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 ay. You got the bottle of the Rebbe? Huh? This? I don't want to spoil it for you, but the Rebbe was not fond of selling his mashka on Pesach.
He didn't want.
He didn't want you should sell his mashka on Pesach. He wanted you should finish it before Pesach. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, vey, 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 Say l'chaim. Where are you from? Where are you originally from? Avraham. What's your name? You're from the Litzman family, Fisher Litzman and Shleimer Litzman. Hi-ya, hi-ya, ya-ya. Did it? Ya, 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 ya. Why, hi-ya, hi, vey, 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 hi, la, la, la. Ya mama, ya mama, ya mama, ya mama, ya mama, L'chaim, l'chaim, bracha. Some seltzer, please. You can pass some seltzer down. In order to be mamchish what we're talking about, in order to bring some practical application. Paramamish? Yeah? You need paramamish, right? Tell a story. There was a story, a chassid Alter Rebbe, his name was Lazar the Krummer. Lazar the Krummer. Lazar, the one that was somewhat handicapped or maybe crippled or somewhat hunchbacked. Maybe is probably the right interpretation. There's a whole story about this Lazar the Krummer, how he came to the Alter Rebbe. He really, anyone knows the story? Yeah. Lazar the Krummer. He lived in Yerushalayim. But there were a shluchim from the Alter Rebbe that came to Yerushalayim and taught Chassidus, and he got hooked on. So he left his wife and his family, and he moved to Russia, to Lozna. Anyway, it wasn't too, the Alter Rebbe had to intervene that he should make sure at least either he should go back to Yerushalayim or send a get. He agreed to send a get. These are strange stories. Go today. Imagine what the bloggers would make machen for them. So they pinsenholz. Thank God, false Messiah died. But later, he became Ha'edim by the Pinchas Reizes, one of the biggest in the Alter Rebbe. But Lazar the Krummer hat gesagt ein Wort, that what is the paradigm shift that happened to him as a result of learning Chassidus? What changed? How did he become a changed person? He said the difference was that before I learned Chassidus, I was so proud of my accomplishments. I used to sit and wonder a whole day. We know that the Eibishter has a Gan Eden. We know that there's Schar and Olam Haba. But he wasn't sure that the Eibishter has enough. Enough Schar to give him what he really deserves. He's such a pious individual. He's such a Bar Hachi. He's such a tzaddik elyon that how is the Eibishter going to give the hakemet? How is he going to be able to provide for him? What changed when you learned Chassidus? What changed? You know the story. You maybe didn't hear it with Allah in the Krum, but you know the story. What changed was now he's wondering, how is it that every day goes by and the Eibush that hasn't nicht gemacht him zu nicht. The Eibush didn't get rid of him. In other words, we have to be honest with ourselves. Yes, there's Tariag mitzvahs. Im Lavan Garti, the Tariag mitzvahs Shamarti. We all try, we all strive to be Erlich Yidden. I don't doubt that for a moment. Kol Yisrael b'cheskas kashrus. There's no question in my mind that everyone over here really, truly tries to be a Erlich Yid. But how Erlich are we really? Do we really believe that Malei Chol Haaretz Kavoidai? There's a passage in Tanya which the Rebbe instructed that all children should memorize this Baal Peh by heart. From Perik, V'mahala from Tanya, that V'hinei Hashem Nitzav Allah, which is the pasuk in Tanakh, pasuk in Parshas Vayetze. God is, as we said before, is omnipresent, fills the universe. But it has to become a personal reality. God is looking at you. And He is testing Kloyos, Valev, your kidneys, your heart, your internal organs. What is He looking for? What is He trying to figure out? Im oivdoi, kora'oi. Are you serving God in the proper manner? As I said before, no one over here is chashuv that you're not mekayim taryag mitzvahs. Kol Yisrael b'cheskas kashrus. I should come from New London, Connecticut, travel for so many hours to come and tell the Chavrai Kadisha that have a shaykhas to Heichel Baal Shem Tov, a shayla that the Mekayim Taryag Mitzvahs, Cholula v'chas, L'yalo l'das, that there is a question that someone over here is not machmir kala v'chamura v'chulu v'chulu. But the shayla is, do we believe that at every moment of the day that Havai needs of Allah? Umabit Allah. And the words of the Alter Rebbe in Tanya is that the Eibishter has Kol Eilam Kulei. And He's Maniach Kol Eilam, He's forsaking everything else, and He's right now zeroing in, trying to figure out how is Avraham Sternberg doing on Thursday night, Yud Tes Kislev, Chav Kislev. What is he doing now? Retter Shtusim? Havalu Avadaya? Never done? Ain't Avadaya. So it must be that something is true there too. Are we internalizing the message of the Alter Rebbe that the Eibush is part of our life every moment of the day, and it's real, and thus is that emes? You know, there's a word which the Rabbi said about the Alter Rebbe, that if the Alter Rebbe wasn't so strict about everything being emes lamitai, and that you can't just give lip service, but you have to really mean it, he would have had so many more chassidim. He would have had 50,000 chassidim. He would have major numbers. But the Alter Rebbe didn't go for bluff. There's no lip service. You can't drink a cup. You can't spin a finger. You can't sing Avraham Fried songs to Chas Hevel Avolim. I got it. Ich bin a chassid. It gotta be real. It needs to be the absolute truth. You need to realize that it's not just epis apsa, a nice word. And we can sagen, the Welt singay over name of it Pashit, this is the truth. This is what you got to live by. And for that, the Alter Rebbe sat in prison, so that we, in Tafshnai Ches, should understand that it's Emes Lamita. I want to point out something very interesting. "37 years ago, Tafshin Mem Aleph, 1980. It was 2 days before Yud Tes Kislev, and a chassid from Kfar Chabad came with a idea to invite the Rebbe to participate in a Siyum Sefer Torah that was happening in Kfar Chabad, that was written, a Torah that was commissioned for the Rebbe. Rebbe Zusha. He came, he invited the Rebbe, and the Rebbe sent a crown for the Sefer Torah and made a special Farbrengen. It was, I think, maybe a Thursday afternoon, and it was. I remember it. I was young. I was very young at the time, but opportunity to run out of school and come to Farbrengen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon was wonderful. And the Rebbe then said a Maimer Padum Shalom Nafshi. And there's a novel idea in that Maimer which I believe that it doesn't appear in any other Maimer. Not that I'm a Bucky, an old Mamarim, but when you see a novel idea and you don't see it anywhere else, so suffice is that the taka novel idea. Hasidim always said that why did the Alter Rebbe sit 53 days in prison? Anyone know? Huh? You're saying something. You have food in your mouth.
The bus to Chabad is 153.
That I didn't know. I didn't know that. Okay. He says there's a bus, the Egged bus, that's 153. But they should have said 153 days. Why if only 53 days? He nullified the first 100 he burned. Okay. He says, okay. He said because there's 53 prakim in Tanya. That's wonderful. That's like what Messiah. That the 53 days of the Alter Rebbe sat in prison is shackle for 53 days in Tanya. In that Maimer in Tafshim Aleph, the Rebbe says a novel idea. What does the Rebbe say? That the pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says, "Bas yilagani achesikala." That Hashem has come to His garden to transform this world, that it should return to its original state, the way it's a garden for the Eibishter. Let me just say the Nakuda, and then we'll try to explain. What's Nakuda? Gan, which is a garden, is Gimel Nun, which is 53. The Alter Rebbe sat in prison for 53 days in order to accomplish Basel Ganya Chesikala. Huh? Is that new to you? Okay? It's a Mugad Kamaymer.
I got something new also.
1 second. Yeah, we'll hear the new. But I want you to know that while it is true that Chassidim in the previous generation knew that there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim Bas L'Gan Ches Kala. And the previous Rebbe said a Maimer on Parshas Yisroi, Tafresh Pei Gimel, and in the middle he explained Barichas, the Maimer of the Pasuk in Tilim, the Pasuk in Shir Hashirim Bas L'Gan Ches Kala. But when the Bas L'Gan Ches Kala become a staple, a beam, a centrifuge, the crown jewel of Hasidism, on Yud Shvat Tafshin Yud, in 1950, who went and made this the center, the crown jewel of Hasidism? The Rebbe. And the Rebbe comes and tells us that the reason why the Alter Rebbe sat in prison 219 years ago is so what? So that we, in our generation, when we have the Avodah to transform this world, which looks like a jungle, and make it into a garden of Hashem, so the Alter Rebbe sat in prison for 53 days so we could accomplish that. What am I trying to point it out? It's not just perhaps a beautiful word. It's not just a nice gematria. Wow, 53 is gone. We always knew that Gan Prakim Tanya, that it's gone also. But the point is a whole different thing. Till now, or it's possible to believe that the Alter Rebbe sat in prison because of something that happened 219 years ago. And something happened in his generation that necessitated that in order for him to be mechaper on whatever you want to explain, there was a need for the Alter Rebbe to go to prison. Today, we sit back as spectators, as journalists, or whatever it is, to try to figure out what's the connection between 2017 to 1798. But if we understand in the light of what the Rebbe says, that the reason why the Alter Rebbe sat for 53 days is so that we could accomplish the bus of the Gan Ches Kala, we could transform this world into Gan. So you know what it tells us? You know why the Alter Rebbe sat in prison? And this could take what we said earlier, perhaps on a deeper level. I want to say l'chaim before to make sure that I understand what I'm saying. L'chaim. It is before I said that the Alter Rebbe himself could have gotten rid of all the opposition by Avaras Hayad al Meitzach, but his Hasidim, or for other Jews, he needed to bring it down through suffering in prison. We can now take it a step further. It is possible to say that for the Chassidim who lived in 1798 in Tafkuf Nun Tes, it would have been perfect if the Alter Rebbe would be Maver Yad al Meitzach, and nothing would have been missing from their avodah. But us Yankees in the 21st century, in Deir Hashvi, we over here and now in Tav Shnai Ches would not be able to relate to Yud Tes Kislev. We will look at it as some type of miracle that happened, Havoras Hayad al Meitzach, and the Alter Rebbe did some abracadabra do. A problem? Huh? What? Yeah, how to get? I'm too close to the mic? What's the issue?
Too loud.
Too loud? Too low? Tell me what the issue is.
Everything is good. Everything is good.
Now it's good. We want to know what the issue was.
Ah. So, see, in other words, we would be somewhat disconnected to the whole idea of Yud Tes Kislev. If everything would have been in a miraculous way, and everything would have been in a Havaras Yad al Meitzach, then what does that have to do to Nashim Kerkeinu? How do we relate to it? But the Alter Rebbe wanted that Chassidus should become Nachas HaKlal. That everyone, not only in this room, but every single Jew in Flatbush, and every single Jew in Borough Park, and every single Jew in Williamsburg, and every single Jew in Crown Heights, and every single Jew in the whole world should be able to relate to Chassidus and realize that this is emes, and emes lamitoy, and for that, the Alter Rebbe agreed to suffer, to be in pain, to sit in prison for 53 days, because this will bring about the bas l'ganya chesikala. Look in the Maimer, bas l'ganya tavshemav, towards the end, and you'll see this. This is nishkim baba. I didn't make this up. This is clear. It's hamugidik Maimer. You understand? But we have still more things to take care of. We need to understand how tomorrow morning is going to be different than this morning. How tomorrow morning when we wake up and we say Moida Ani Lefanecha Malachai V'Kayim Shechzarta B'Nishmasi, that this should be an emes dika Meidani. And then when we say Hadis Lasech V'Bino Lahafchim B'Yemim V'In Laila, we shouldn't just think about the chicken and the rooster. Verstehst? What should you think about? How the Rebbe gave you seichel to understand between Yoim and Laila that it shouldn't be a world of Arvuvya, that you don't understand the difference between Cheshech and Er. Samim Er l'Cheshech v'Cheshech l'Er. That's a confusion. You should have clarity. And when you understand, and when you sit down, and you talk about Haydul Hashem Kiru B'Shmei, Haydul Ba'amal Leisav, and Baruch Shem V'Hayayilam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Heim V'Eis, Mizmor L'Seida, Riyul Hashem Kol. I mean, you're talking about these things, but Aftrachten. Hariyul Hashem Kol Oretz. The ganze Welt, it's a reality. We don't see it. We don't feel it. We have to work on trying to develop that feeling, but we shouldn't have a suffix. L'rega cotton, we shouldn't have a suffix that it's not true. L'chaim. L'chaim. We need to be able to sing a niggin that will cause us to leave the world of confusion and enter a deeper reality. Because the reality is l'chaim. Essen, trinken, trinkt sich, was man tun, als es daven sich nicht. Essen, trinken, was man tun, essen, was man tun, als es daven sich nicht. Yes, in Nazareth, was all meant to, that is damals hey L'chaim.
One time they gave up one hour share on the phone.
Among the supporting that we know about Yud Tes Kislev is how Yud Tes Kislev developed into not a one-day holiday, but a two-day holiday. Everyone's familiar that it's not just Yud Tes Kislev, but it's also Chav Kislev. Huh? What's the story? Why did Yud Tes Kislev go into Chav Kislev? You're not familiar? Okay. The story is told that they asked Alter Rebbe where he wants to be dropped off after he was given the certificate of liberation, and he gave an address. But mistakenly, it's easy. We can be callous by saying mistakenly. You know, when we say that we punched into Waze the wrong address, so mistakenly, instead of coming to Avenue J in Brooklyn, we went to Avenue J in Queens. If there's an Avenue J in Queens, I don't know. There's no Avenue J in Queens. Shine?
Might be a 13th Avenue.
Okay, but whatever it is, a brach. See, I don't know Queens that well. I don't know Brooklyn that well either. But you sometimes can put in the wrong address. Very similar, but it's off. It takes you into Baybrick. It takes you into a whole different place. Do you hope it? Yeah? Mm-hmm. But how could it be that the Alter Rebbe, Kadosh Elyon, should mistakenly be brought? You came to give some to fill it up. That's good. You're good. You're fulfilling your job. Huh? Behidder. Okay. So what does it mean that Alter Rebbe was taken somewhere mistakenly? We earlier mentioned that Alter Rebbe would not travel on Friday, and he had every way of stopping it if he didn't want to. So you want to tell me that mistakenly he was taken to the wrong address. What happened in that wrong address? Instead of coming to the house of a chassid, he came to the house of one of the troublemakers, one of the people who were responsible for his imprisonment. And he spent there 3 hours. And Alter Rebbe related after his release, and by the way, those 3 hours are the 3 hours that turned 19th of Kislev into the 20th of Kislev. Because it's winter, the days are short. You can imagine if you were scheduled to arrive at 3 o'clock to the house of a chassid, and he was in the wrong house from 3 to 6. 6 o'clock was already after Tezakav, and no longer it's 19, now it's the 20th of Kislev. So the advantage is that now Lubavitch Chassidim don't say Tachno, not Yud Tes Kislev, not Chav Kislev. They have 2 days not to say Tachno. Chafal for Shabbos this year, but normally Lubavitch say Tachno Chafal, but our cousins in Williamsburg don't say Tachno Chafal. This year we didn't say Tachno. Mincha, true, because out of Yom we don't say Tachno Mincha. Okay, good. So the question is, Alter Rebbe said that those 3 hours that he was in the house of the Misnagid, in a sense, was more difficult than the 53 days that he was in prison.
That's a tough.
Why is a good question. Why? because when you're sitting in and you're interrogated, you're being interrogated by goyim, and you realize they don't have bchira chofshis. So you accepted this is what Eibishter wants. But when a yid is asking you questions that are totally disrespectful, it hurts. And it's painful. What happened at the end? What was the mistake? The mistake wasn't in the address. The mistake was in the apartment. The building was correct. But instead of taking him to the building to floor number 1, they took him to floor number 2 or whatever it was. Instead of taking him to apartment 1, they took him to apartment 3. I don't know exactly how it was. But when the chassid who was supposed to receive the Alter Rebbe received word that the Alter Rebbe was liberated and he was en route to him, and then he noticed that there was a delay. He wasn't, his ETA didn't match. He didn't arrive. So he went to search, and then he realized, oh, maybe they took him to the apartment above him. And indeed, he walks in, and he sees the Alter Rebbe is there, and he's ready to okay, I got you. I'm here to rescue you. Come to me, and the end of your suffering comes. So the Alter Rebbe says, wait a minute. After all the hours of pain, my host cooked up a kettle of hot water, and he graciously wants to serve me tea. And because he's my host, there's a mitzvah in kvoid achsanya. I have to be gracious to the host. So let me sit and enjoy the glass of tea, and then I will exit and join you into freedom. Okay? That's the story. Everyone, I don't know if everyone knows the story, but that's the story. No? Never heard the story. 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Who knows what the year was 40 years? 40 years ago was Tafshin Lamed Ches. This was the first time after the Rebbe suffered a heart attack of Shmini Atzeres that the Rebbe came downstairs to the big shul of 770 and held a Farbrengen. Until then, all the communication of the Rebbe was via hook up from his room to the Chassidim. And even afterwards, by the way, for many weeks, till I think Yud Shvat was maybe the next time, that the Rebbe came downstairs. But it was still continued to be hookups from the room. It was a major simcha. There was a whole night of dancing after Farbrengen. But the Rebbe asked the question, what's the lesson to be learned? Why did, the same question we asked before, why did the Alter Rebbe allow the prison in the first place? The Alter Rebbe had the ability to stop it. The Alter Rebbe had the ability to stop from driving on Friday afternoon. So why is it that Alter Rebbe agreed, so to speak, to suffer these 3 hours that were so difficult to suffer? You ready for the answer? I'm not ready. I haven't said enough l'chaim. Chavra! Zach l'chaim.
Wake up.
Ay veya mama 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 Hawaii 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 la 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 Hawaii Hey, Hi, yeah, 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 what, oh, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, what, yeah, what, yeah, what, how, yeah, hey, yeah, so we have to be to forget about l'chaim. We said till now, and we have to start from scratch to say l'chaim. L'chaim. No. So why did the Alter Rebbe agree to suffer for 3 hours? Oh, you ready to hear the answer? Yes. One of the things that it's remarkable about the whole Parshas HaMaaseh V'Agula from Yud Tes Kislev is how the Alter Rebbe responded. There's the Yeduadik Igeres HaKodesh Simon Beis that the Alter Rebbe talks to Chassidim that now that they saw all the miracles that happened in Yud Tes Kislev, they shouldn't contemplate for a moment to try to feel a sense of, we are on the top, we won, we're aloof, we're able to treat our opponents as secondary, as the losers, so to speak. Says the Rebbe, that's not enough. There's, not feeling resentment against the misnagdim. Not to whistle against them, not to show any disrespect to the misnagdim. But there's a deeper sense to be able to treat them with respect after 3 hours sitting and suffering. Such interrogation, such disrespect, and then instead of looking for the first opportunity to exit and leave in peace, they say, you know what? I'm going to suffer a little bit more, but I'm going to drink the glass of tea because this person put despite being such a horrible person and being so disrespectful to me, he bothered on cooking up some water. Listen, we're not talking about those gas stoves. Years ago, you had to create a fire, and it was some effort. I'm going to show him respect. I'm going to drink that tea. What does this mean? It is sometimes so much easier to talk about an idea than in truth. There's a mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael. And guess what? V'ahavta l'recha kamecha. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Which Kula Limud Rabbi Akiva, the whole Mishnah is a Limud Rabbi Akiva. Because Rameir and all the 5 Chachamim that were his Talmidim, all were Limud Rabbi Akiva. What does Rabbi Akiva say? V'ahavta l'recha kamecha. Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. It's a very important principle. Some will hold kinusim and conferences, and we'll talk about the lofty idea of what does it mean that v'ahavta l'recha kamecha zeh klal gadol b'Torah. But the bottom line, we'll enjoy a good pashkevil against another Yid, a good lashon hara about someone else, and every time we could shmai someone in front of him, we're behind his back. Amechaya! There's nothing better than a hot mikveh and a good lashon hara. Huh? And which Chatz from the hot mikveh is nicht geschmack? Ich weiß nicht. You don't enjoy lashon hara?
That's the problem.
Halavai, we should enjoy it. Very good. I agree with you.
Hot lashon hara and a good
You want a cold mikveh with a hot lashon hara. It should be both a hot lashon hara and a hot mikveh, because the lashon hara shouldn't just be a good lashon hara; it should be juicy too. So I get the yoich. Huh? No. So the Alter Rebbe, this is not. Ich sag nicht kein eigene Chedushim. Sag Meisha. Chas v'shel. I'm not saying anything new. This is something which I heard today, what the Rebbe said 40 years ago. This is the first Farbrengen that the Rebbe came down to 770 after the heart attack in Tav Shalom Ches. And the Rebbe says that the reason why the Alter Rebbe agreed, figuratively or literally, whatever it is, a tzaddik, that happened to tzaddik, that he should go and suffer the 3 hours, is so that he can be a living example of what's the pshat at Einay Movadoi. And what's the pshat that they missed is emes lamitoi? And what's the pshat that that you're able to sit in the house of someone that is such a despicable person? That the gate to the yard. But Ava became, what are you doing to him? You're showing him respect, and you're going to have kveidach sanya, you're going to drink a glass of tea. Verstehst? It's not enough to be able to understand the Perek Tanya and to be able to hear a word, to come to the library and Tamuruki Teva Vai. There's so many svarim over here that can give you a lifetime of inspiration, but the inspiration needs to carry on into something very tangible and something very real. What's the Evan HaBoichen? That it's real, that it's emes, and it's emes la'amitoi, and it's nicht nur ma'asafa l'chutz, but this is emes v'hu levadehu v'ein efes u'losai v'daita yem v'sheveis u'levecha kavaya l'kim is Einoid. Why? How is it possible that you're able to sit in the home of someone who's negated the Yoran, and you're not going to run away the first chance you can run away, but you're actually going to show him respect, and you're going to give him the opportunity to drink a glass of tea. It's going to translate into a mitzvah maisis. It's going to translate into something real. This lofty idea that a person is able to be Maivra Midoisov, that a person is able to think about the Ribbeinu Shalom, a person is able to believe that Ala Nizik, it was Nidoin, and everything is Bashet, and that the Eibishter wants it to happen for a reason. And B'meila, I don't have any hard feelings against the perpetrator, Ala Mazik, or Kameshi Yosef, his Nai Gimechav, which begins in this week's parasha, doesn't finish the parasha's Vayechi, which the Alter Rebbe brings as a proof how the Yosef HaTzadik was able to not only ignore what his brothers did to him, but actually be a living example of how he believes that everything was bashet, everything was for a reason, and therefore he respects them. Yosef HaTzadik becomes the paradigm of this type of anaga. And the Alter Rebbe wanted to be a living example and said the whole reason why he sat in prison is to make a likus real. What better way of making a likus real is by showing that even if I'm sitting in the house of a Misnagid and someone has negated me the Yonah, I am going to stay an extra few minutes to drink a glass of tea. That brings this to a whole new level of reality. It's not just lip service. It's not about suffer the chutz. It's not plashena teoria. It's not maybe the shagisaria or a plashtaka from shimish cup. But it's emes. It's real. These are bechein. These are yates and pearls. It's not a quetsch mit a finger mit a ozi bocke beshacha kishacha yecha. But it's emes. Verstehst? And what's the bechein? The bechein is that we came and we're present at Yud Tes Kislev at Farbrengen, and for some of us it may be past our bedtime or past our level of comfort of being at these. Yeah, I don't know. Normally the Shir Tanya finishes a little bit earlier than this. But we're staying a little bit longer tonight. Why? Because it's Yud Tes Kislev, and Yud Tes Kislev demands something real from us. I'll tell you, I want to share with you our Yud Tes Kislev moment. When I was in yeshiva, before I was here sitting next to the illustrious Rabbi Barazov, the Mara Asra from Kehilas Hagolol over here. But whatever. This whole region is under his auspices. So I had the privilege of learning by his Zayda, so sei gesund und stark. He's from the oldest Lubavitcher. He's the oldest Lubavitcher Chassid living today. I learned by him in Tavshim Mem Hey and Tavshim Mem Vav and Tavshim Mem Vav and Tainis Esther, Tavshim Mem Vav, which is going to be Tainis Esther this year. 32 years ago, he turned 70. You know how old he is now? He's almost 102. Yeah. Biz May Vassar. So why am I saying this? I don't remember why I said this. There's a reason why I said this. So when I was in yeshiva, there was a tzir. I don't know if anyone over here knows this tzir. There was a yid. He was a namach hakayma, a kleina kurtzike adara, and his name was Rabbi Chaim Reiplat. I'll tell you a story. When I was 11 years old, I dressed up Purim like a Chaim Reiplat. Why? Why was it Shaykh Mitzias? Because I was at 11 years old the same height as Chaim. Not that I was a very tall 11-year-old, but Rabbi Chaim was a very short man, a very skinny man. So I put on maybe my father's jacket, which became my kapota, and I put on a round hat, and that was Rabbi Chaim. But Rabbi Chaim was a Chassidish Yid. They say that the Rebbe said that Rabbi Chaim should continue teaching, even though he was so old, and maybe some felt that he can't relate to the Bachrim. He should continue teaching yeshiva because he was a tzir. People would watch him and see what's the true epitome of a Yiddish, of a Chassidish Yid. So I remember it was Yud Tes Kislev Tavshim Vav, a Ma'aser von 32 Jahr zurück, 32 years ago. No, Yud Tes Kislev Tavshim Vav. Before I spoke about Tainis Esther Tavshim Vav, you're right. But now we're talking about Yud Tes Kislev Tavshim Vav. And Chaim said Bazal Loshen. This was after he would come. He was a very small man, so you can imagine the klal is the smaller a body is, the less alcohol they could consume. So we saw him nibble on some mamish, some few l'chaims. He had some honey cookies that his wife baked for him. He came mamish mit him. He didn't eat the shchutichutz. He definitely didn't have sushi. I don't know if we had sushi in Tashma B'Av. I don't think we had sushi in Tashma B'Av. Hat also gesagt, Bezah Loshen, and it almost sounded this way. I can't say I'm mamish. I'm not saying I'm mimicking him. I think it's today. Heinz is Yud Tes Kislev. Yud Tes Kislev is Rosh Hashanah Chasidus. Chasidus Mont Bitul. Oichayim. Chassidus talks about the reality of Elikus. If Hashem is real, then we are less real. What does this mean? Chaim. When the Eibishter gave the Asayas Adibis to the Yidden, it says V'chol ha'am rei mesakelis, that they saw the voices. So there's a machlekes in Chazal. What's the machlekes? Rabbi Akiva says that royim esanishma v'sheimim esanira. They saw which normally is heard, and they heard which normally is seen. Rabbi Shmuel says no big deal. They saw what you could see, and they heard what you could hear. In other words, Rabbi Shmuel says onispilus. Everything happened in normal order. Rabbi Akiva says everything was topsy-turvy. That which ordinarily is seen was heard. That which ordinarily is heard is seen. I don't want to get into Rabbi Shmuel's shita because that seems to be the normal shita. But we need to understand Rabbi Akiva's shita. Why in the world, B'meila, you want to tell us a novelty that you were able to see which ordinarily you could hear? It's a big chiddush. Wow, imagine, instead of, you don't have a television at home. Chas v'shalom, how do you have a television? You only have a radio. But in the radio, you see all the radio personalities. Without even internet, you see all the chachamim from the radio. How could it be? No. But Rabbi Akiva says that Sheimim Mesanira, that which you normally see, you now only hear. That seems to be funny. What's the ness over here? That seems to be backwards. You normally could see it, now you can only hear. So, if we could understand the Oirach Chassidus a little bit, we could understand what the Alter Rebbe wanted to accomplish over here, we could understand this a little bit more. How so? How does it so? We said before, we say it, it's a pasuk in Yeshayahu, and we say it every day in davening. We say it in Kedusha. Yeah? Do we see it? Who sees Malay Chalaretz Kavede? Raise your hand if you see it with your eyes. You see it? What would happen if you see it? Let's talk about theory now. Ila Yitzuyer Nitin Rishus La'ayin Lirais. We have permission to see that Malay Chalaretz Kavede. You think we would see this white tablecloth over here? You think we would see this delicious firefall, the sushi? But how can you see it? So someone's going to have to whisper in your ear, you know the sushi over there. You don't see it because you're seeing chalaris kavede. Aber tamer de wilt a stickel sushi, ich will dir einspritzen in the Eier, I'll tell you something, a secret, a selecta sushi. It's going to be a hard thing to imagine. I see Malay chalaris kavede. Yeah, there's really sushi? I don't know. No, but someone told me the sushi. I'm going to test it out to find out, is there sushi or not sushi? Let's say. Malay chalaris kavede is absolute reality by you. Whether the sushi is on the table or not, you're going to test it out. Yeah? But that's not our experience. Our experience is punkt verkehrt. What our eyes see is sushi. The pasuk says in Yeshayahu, Malay chalaris kavede. Who do I believe, the sushi or the Mishayahu? Huh? Ich weiß nicht. A shaila? Let's take it to the Bezdin. Huh? In other words, these two things don't work simultaneously. Either you see a likus or you see sushi. If you see a likus, you can only hear about sushi. If you see sushi, you can only hear about the likus. That's the machlekes. That's what Rabbi Akiva is saying. B'shas Matan Torah, they saw a likus, so they couldn't see sushi. They could only hear sushi. You understand? They saw that which normally is only heard. And because they saw the course, they only heard which was normally seen. Because all the material things was only something that they could hear. What are we talking about over here? When we talk about the mitzvah of Avos Yisrael, when we talk about the mitzvah of Chayev Adam, is it a Shmi or it's a Riyah? Is it a reality or it's a nice theory? Adosh taltzach the Shaila. And this is what we have to ask ourselves, and we have to internalize. And the Alter Rebbe sat in prison for 53 days, and he agreed to be another 3 hours in the home of someone who was so disrespectful to him. Why? Because that gave him the opportunity to demonstrate that this nekuda that Teres Emes says that Chayav Adam Ichsei V'Chsanya is Emes Lamitoy. And this idea that you have an obligation to be Oyeves Abriyos. What does it mean Oyeves Abriyos? To love someone that has no other Maila other than the fact that he's a Bria from the Eibishter. And because he's a Bria from the Eibishter gave him Bechira Chavshis. Which is, he does say Marei Kedesh, but the result is that this Bechira Chavshis can lead a person to be so disgusting to the Alter Rebbe's home to gain the Yorim for 3 hours. But it's all worth it, so to speak. So the Alter Rebbe can teach the lesson of Avos Yisrael. A real lesson of Avos Yisrael. That it's real. We have to be respectful to another, even if the person is so disgusting to you. In other words, being respectful to Nachsanya, despite that he was disgusting to you, is a living example of that of course is real. Because if of course is just a theory, then it's negesh. It contradicts it comes to stumbling blocks. There's a stira, there's a kasha. I have a theory, Malay Cholars Kavede, und ich habe da verstunkener Jung, someone that's so disgusting, so despicable, that had to gate me the for 3 hours. Where's the Malay Cholars Kavede? No. Of them come and sagen, Tzimtzum is Kipshute, and the Malay Cholars Kavede is any Kipshute. I'm not getting into these are theological concepts. It's schwer zu verstehen, geh verstehen. I'm not going into this. We're talking over here at Hanashin Kerkenu. When we tell a person that you have an obligation to love your fellow despite what he does to you, you have an obligation to love him. Is it real or is it a fairy tale? Is it a real or it's a theory? When we say, is it a song or is it a reality? And the Alter Rebbe sat in prison for 53 days and agreed to extend his imprisonment, which those 3 hours were so difficult, for another 3 hours to prove and to be a living example that it's not a theory, it's a reality. Because the is emes lamitoi, and the Eibishter wants us because emes lamitoi, and there's no other way to do it other than to prove that you're going to sit and drink a glass of tea in someone's home to give him honor despite what he did to you. You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand, but I hope to understand tomorrow morning. And I hope that I should be able to take an iota of this truth and incorporate it into my life. Chaim.
You want to bring it up there?
Rabbi, you had talked to my mother.
No, we have to invite him. I don't invite him, but if you want to take him.
Sushi or sushi?
Yainam, hey, hey. Hi, vey, vey, yamama, hey, vey, vey, hey, vey, hi, vey, vey, vey. Mama, hey, vey, vey, ya, mama, hey, vey, ya, mama, 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 hey, ya, ya, Hey ya mama, Yamamai, Yai, Vai, 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 Hai, Vai, 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 Hai, Yamamai, Hai, Vai, Vai, Yamamai, Mama, Hai, Vai, Hai, Vai, Vai, Hai, Vai, 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 Hai, Vai, 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 Hey, Yama, 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 Mama, Yama, Mama, Mom, Hai, Vai, 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 Yama, Mama, Mom, Yama, Mama, Mom, Hai, Vai, 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 Hama, Mama, 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 Hai, Nam, Hai, Vai, 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 Hama, Mama, 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 Hai, Vai, Hai, Vai, 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 Yama, Mama, Mama, Hai, Vai, Yama, Mama, Hai, Vai, 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 Hama, Mama, 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 Hai, Hai, Vai, 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 Yama, Mama, 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 Hai, Vai, Yama, Mama, Hai, Vai, 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 Hama, Mama, 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 Hai, Vai, Hai, 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 Yama, Mama, 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 Hai, Vai, Yama, Mama, Hai, Yama, Mama, Hama, Mama, 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 Hai, Vai, Hama, Mama, Mama, Yama, Mama, Hai, Vai, Yama, Mama, 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 Hai, Yama, Mama, Mama, Yama, Mama, Bye, ya, Yama, Mama, Hai, Vai, 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 Yama, Mama, Bye. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, mama, 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 mama. Yeah, mama, mama, mama. Hey, vai, 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 mama, mama. Yeah, mama, mama, oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, mama, 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 mama. Hi, vai, 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 vai. Hi, vai, vai, vai. Hi, mama. Hey, yeah, mama. Ah. Yeah, mama. Hi, vai, vai, vai. Hi, vai, vai. Mama, 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 mama. Hi, mama, mama. Hi, bye. Hi, bye. Ha ma 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 ma. Ja, ze rutschi chlap, что есть нами. Поедем только чонки, там и ваке будет. Ja, ze rutschi chlap, что есть нами будет. Hey, ya mama, my dear, ya mama, 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 mama. No gaat het mogen.
Ya mama, ya mama, ya mama, my maladina, ya mama.
Hey, 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 ya mama,
ya mama, ya mama,
ya mama, 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 mama,
ya mama.
Hey, ya mama, 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 mama.
Ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
Ya mama, 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 mama. Ay, 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 ay. Those chassidim that are going to stay, come a little bit closer. We'll be able to have our inner circle. We can Farbrengen, wie ze daar today. L'chaim.
Rabbi Avraham Sternberg.
Ja.
Man darf gesingen den Ding von der Magie Teucher. Der Schulz nur sagt man singen.
No. Ya
mama, ma ya elada, ya mama, ma ya mama, mama ya mama. ya mama ya la 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 ya la 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 ya mama ya la 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 oh Elena ya la 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 Elena ya la 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 ya mama oh ya la 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 ya mama
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Thank you for coming, Rabbi. You have to go check. I'll relay good reports right post here.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Nu, sagst du l'chaim? Aber die ist lei naga, lei paga. Lei neida, even me geht lei Shabbos und Mincha. Lei neida, ki bo el kirbena. Aber das gesagt l'chaim, weil es gedarf sein, am Zet bis chayes al in dir. Und das Gove, was lei neida, ki bo el kirbena, ist das Zimmer, das nicht gesagt in l'chaim. Emes. Zog l'chaim, nicht... Nein, hat nicht mit trinken. Man sucht l'chaim, nicht weil man hat lieb. Sie man hat lieb Skatsch, oder man hat lieb Wodka, man hat wohl nicht lieb. Man will sich verbinden mit etwas Elokim Chaim. Man darf sich kennen, sich stellen, nach Tafel von Welt. Alle verstehen die Jiddisch. You understand a little bit Yiddish? Huh? You understand Yiddish?
A bissl.
A bit.
Verstehst du nicht?
Bissl.
Ah?
Ja, dann kann ich.
Gut. Sie hat rübergehen ein bisschen auf Jiddisch. Ich will erzählen an Meise, aber die wir kennen, das Herren der Meise, darf man zwei Sachen. Erstens, das ist der Oist in der Mantel. In der Schalik. Es ist ein bisschen, wir will sehen dir, wie die bist, was muss. Wie die bist. Hast du mehr, was ich auch sehen? Hast du was du mehr haben? Ich bin einer von der Ewiesroll, ich habe lieb jeder Jid, wie er steht in Geld.
Hat das nicht genommen.
In der Meise, also ich erzähle jetzt am Meise. In der Meise darf man geht verstehen. L'chaim, die wir sagen L'chaim, ich hätte, die bist noch verbinden mit der Technology, du. Sich ein bisschen reinstellen in der Atmosphäre. Wir wollen da, aber wir sollen kennen, der Leben ein bisschen, was ist der Pschat, aber wir leben mit Achtisch Farbrengen. The channel, but auf Englisch, man kann ein bisschen, this will not go on Torah Cafe. We say that? Wir können machen, das Ding jetzt und soll nicht gehen auf Torah Cafe. Ha? Ich habe ein bisschen Stickel dort, ein bisschen da die Euchet. L'chaim.
Wenzig. Das ist jeder vielleicht sagen, ich kann nicht in Schulen.
Ich kann alles sagen. Hör doch sie. Ich will jetzt erzählen am Eise, was das kommen, das ist nicht am Eise, was mir erzählt, am Eise. Das kommen Herren heint, als es verschrieben heint, in den Eufen, was jeder eine kennt, das Herren mit der eigenen Euren. Das erzählen am Eise. Es ist einmal gewesen, was der Rebbe hat gerät wegen, der Rebbe hat etwas gerät gegen der Schütte von Satme. Der Rebbe hat käme gerät wegen Ischim, der Rebbe gerät wegen Schüttes.
Ich meine, ich stehe schon Tag aus dem Mantel.
Ich kenne schon nicht in der Mantel, du kannst werden ein bisschen heimisch. Ich sag dir, also ich kann es werden heimisch. Aber, weißt du, aber der Rebbe hat, die was verstehen nicht, was der Rebbe hat, der verstehen nicht, der Rebbe sprach. Der Rebbe hat gerät, attackiert, sagt man. No, das ist schon gewesen noch Lamentas, Koyov Lamentas. Ich rede Sprache, ich bin nicht kein Abaltschife, verstehst du? No. Mein Seide Salman Gerari gehabt eine Sprache mit der alten Rebbetzin. Von Mano. Hat sie gesagt, ich habe allein gehört mit meinen Euren. Was? Weil damals hat Jankel Hecht auf ein Adja gesagt, zwischen den Sichers, der Rebbe mein Satme. Aber ich habe mal warm umgebracht. Man darf nicht mehr glauben, man kann hören mit den eigenen Euren, wie der Rebbe redet. Sie gewähnt Tafsche Mem. Simchas Teure. Der Rebbe gesagt, als Simchas Teure darf Hayid sich kennenstellen in der Eufen von der Meinung mit dieser Wagbole. Geht raus von der Wagbole, er tanzt. Er tanzt mit der Teure, wird der Fies von der Teure. Das ist eine hechere Sache. Jede Sache darf aber gesagt werden, darf aber eine praktische Weg, wie es drückt sich aus. Und der Rebbe gemeint, als jeder eine, was beschaßt, man wird tanzen, jetzt man singen, hanigen, bei der Farbrengen, soll jeder eine trachten, wie kann Mäuse seinen Stocker nach mehr von seinen Jecheules. Der Meinung mit dieser Wagbole. Und der Rebbe sagt sie, aber wird das tun, wird sein. A Posek von Parshas Vayigash, as Chamishase li Paroi, Va'arba Hayodes Yelochem. Aber wir geben, wie viel wir geben auf die Stocke? Wird der ewigste Zikzum 4-mal so viel. Die ist der Chamishis, in Arba Hayodes Yelochem. Der Rebbe erzählt am Meise, als gewähnt einmal der Friedrich Rebbe gewollt updrücken. Svorum, es hat abgekostet in der Tafschind, in der 40er. Hat das abgekostet $5,000 auf drücken, das Svorum. Kann sich vorstellen, was $5,000 gewähnt in der 40er. Das mehr mit der schwere $100,000 von Heintiker redet. In der Friedrich Rebbe gemeint bei einer, also geben das samen Geld. Aber bei ihm $5,000 gewinnt mehr wie halb von sein Gehalt für das ganze Jahr. Aber der Friedrich habe gebeten, hat er gesagt, ja. Nicht wissen, nicht von wann wird das Geld. Später ist er zurückgefahren, er hat nicht gewohnt in New York, er gewohnt in Chicago. Und es hat gemacht, ein Geschäft, und nicht nur gekannt, ob so der Choi, was er genommen hat, er hat Tage gemacht, so viel mehr von ihm. Hat er aber gesagt, als er so wird sein, die, was wollen unnehmen, mit einer Ernstkeit, als er wollen geben Geld mehr für sie Choi, wollen sie sehen, als er ist selbst. The God is going to pay them back fourfold. Now, I'm going to change now. I'm going to go back to English, then we'll go back to Yiddish, okay? We gotta accommodate everybody. Yeah? Yeah, you follow me so far. We're going to go back and forth, okay?
What did he say about...
He said if... No, this... I just brought this as an example of Gehet mit der eigenen Euren. Because this, I'm telling you, this was Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah, there's no recording. What I'm going to tell you later happened on a Motzei Shabbos, which there is a recording, and I believe over here you have access to all the recordings, yeah? Amos? Huh?
Moshe.
Noch nicht du? But you have it on the internet, man hat das Treff on the internet, kann man sich, and if not, if anybody needs, they should, I could send them, I have from my phone, I could send you the file, so you could have it on your email without a tray from the internet, and you could just from the email. Email is not internet, right? Die was du Sache was kannst du schon mit aber E-Mail haben sie. Ja. Du
Email is the internet.
Huh?
No, there's plain email.
Not
Just
if you
get
go
email by
to-
itself.
Google is on the internet.
Okay, shine.
Email's on the internet.
He means it's limited email or limited internet access. You can't surf the web. You can only get your email. Okay, fine. We know that, but it all comes through the internet. But anyway, I'm not laughing. There's a reason why it's a limited internet. Don't get me wrong. Well, however, let's go back to what we were saying. So this was Simchas Torah. The Rebbe spoke without a microphone. So first of all, not everyone heard. And even if they heard, not necessarily they grasped what the Rebbe was saying. But after the Farbrengen, there was a lot of shushking going on. We know what happens in the mikvahs, right? You hear that a certain stock is a hot stock. You know what happened 6 months after Bitcoin became a thing, right? Finally, the Charedim heard Bitcoin, but he chapped off in the dollar left on for one Bitcoin, one coin.
What's Bitcoin?
What's Bitcoin? I don't know.
Geld.
Now it's 1400. Ich sehe die hast du Tray für the Internet. Ay. Even if you see just the Keplach, the brisk Scheibblatt, weißt doch, from was is nice, you know what Bitcoin is 1400.
16,000.
16,000. Okay, sorry. But the point, the point is, so there were those who said, here, none of you, I don't know how many of you remember that in Tafshin and Gimel, when Gutnick went public with his stock the first time. So also was a thing that there was no Vasas nice. How would everyone know? In the mikveh, 2 weeks after he went public, became a nayas that became machen Geld. I didn't know. So everyone was putting in money, and it went up for 3 weeks, and then it tanked, and everyone lost their pants, whatever. In the mikveh. In the mikveh, you lose your pants, right? It's a makam mucham lepronius. You can lose your pants in the mikveh. Yeah. But you know what happened? Here the Rebbe promised that if you give money, fourfold you get a return. That's called inside trading. You get a tip on a hot stock, so everyone is running. Let's go. Let me empty my pockets and give the Rebbe $1,000. I'm going to get $4,000 back. I don't have $1,000. I'm going to go to Gemach. Gemach is supposed to give an interest-free loan. But I've given me Geld. Give me this chesed. Give me Geld to Gemach. Give me $1,000. Give me I'm making $4,000. Then there were the Chachumim. The Moshe's Chinuch. This was Tishrei, yeah? When is the most lucrative time for Moshe's Chinuch? El Tishrei, yeah? We get Geld, that must something Geld. Then there's Geld. Kimt Nissen, Sivan, Tammuz, mit dem Kratzman der Beitzen, für wann welchem Geld zu unterbelamden. But at the beginning of the year, mit told Schar limit, yeah? So they decided, this year, what do I have to go raise money? I'll never the Geld was yet to the surplus was yet to in Nissen time. I mean Tishrei time. Could give it to the Rebbe. The Rebbe promised us 4 times as much. Yeah. We're gonna have a good year this year. But there's not kid daggers from payroll. There won't be. I'm a chaya. Yeah. How do I know all this? Because the Rebbe, Shabbos Bereshis, they're not Farbrengen on Shabbos. Tafshin Mem was still the beginning of Tafshin Mem was still the last few months, where because of Tafshin Lamed Ches, the Rebbe continued Farbrengen Matzah Shabbos. So you hear it on tape. So there's the first Sikha, the second Sikha, the third Sikha, there's the Maimer. Then there's the fourth Sikha, is the Rashi Sikha. The Rebbe asked the questions of Rashi. And after he finishes the questions of Rashi and the artisan Zayar, the Rebbe says, Kana Makam, to Mashum sein, das ist Megret Simchas Torah. The Rebbe says, Sefarana Zalcha, Was meinen? Am gewollt machen an appeal. The Rebbe was short funds. Came with a gimmick of how to raise money. Ich had so Tizogen, I'm given 4 mal so viel, machen das Geld. So the Rebbe said, no. Nicht das ist gewähne Kavanah. The Rebbe said the Kavanah is given. The Rebbe quoted, the Rebbe said Pasuk, Tein li hanefesh. Am mishteit nach Rosh Hashanah und nach Yom Kippur und nach der erste Tag Sukkot mahalches Simchas Torah wollte sich gedacht mannen als der Nefesh so sein in einem der Maße, was heißt gerät zu geben Geld hecher von seinen Jecheles. Und beschaß der Nefesh weiß, dass gerät zu geben hecher von seinen Jecheles, ist der Eibischte sicher geht zurück Arba Yodes Yilachem. Aber die, was müssen nicht kommen mit der Nemes. Und die, was haben genommen Geld von Meises Chinuch. Und die, was haben nicht sehr mehr gemeint. Der Dr. Rebbe sei. Bezah Loschen. Ich bin gemacht sicher. No matter what. It doesn't matter. A stretch. It has to be beyond. This is what the Rebbe was saying. It's not the dollar amount. The Rebbe was trying to cause a transformation. You should be elevate to elevate the souls. The Rebbe says, Taylor Nefesh, give me your soul. The point is, and the Rebbe said like this, die was haben es gemeint und was haben getracht b'shas Meise, sag ich euch zu, als Arba Yodes Yilachem. Die, was haben nur getan, das war andere, sind gesagt, als sie gewinnen so Sachen und gehelfen von anderen, die haben genommen meistens Chinuch. Der habe gesagt, dass ich besser lasse. Tu mir a Teva. Mach mir nicht eng. Geh rein Maskiris und nimm ab das Geld. Do me a favor. Don't make me uncomfortable. Go into my office and pick up the money. I don't want your money. It's not about fundraising. The Rebbe wanted to cause a transformation over here. You're real. You davened Rosh Hashanah. You asked Eibishter, Molecha kol ha'elam kulu v'chveidecha. You said the same pain pachtecha. Du hast dich gewollt stellen, a tefach hecher von Welt. You sat in the sukkah. You had the idea of the man Yedu der Segen Kibesukah Zeshafti Bnei Yisrael. You dancing with the Sefer Torah. You understand what it means. Le'enei kol Yisrael. You can't. Man sich von dir, that you should be able to sich stellen a tefach hecher von Welt. Give more than your chelos, and when you give more than your chelos, sagt der Eibishter, I'm going to give you 4 times as much. But to act.
Where do you get the 4 times from?
Because it's the pasuk says in Parshas Vayigash that Pharaoh made a deal with the Mitzrayim. You give me 1/5, and you keep 4-fold for yourself. So it says in Kabbalah that the same idea is with tzedakah. You give 1/5 to the Eibishter, and the Eibishter allows you to keep 4 times. But the Rebbe took it a step further to say not only you could keep 4-fold of your income, but you're actually going to get paid.
But I get 4.
Because Arba Yodes Yilachem. Chamish ist der Pare, Arba Yodes. Was ein Pasuk. Und mit früh gesagt, also so steht in Teure des Emmes. Es ist nicht kein gleich Wetzel. Verstehst du, was man sagt? This is the Pshat. This is the Pshat. This is what Yud Tes Kislev is all about. Yud Tes Kislev is all about, am es auch verstehen, als nicht kein gleich Wetzel. We're not here to tell you a nice story. We're not here to tell you noch a Wort, noch a Quetsch. And I can tell you why Vayemoyin Yosef is mit a Shoshelas. Ich kann dir sagen, am Ende kein Pschettel. Was ist du a Shoshelas bei Vayemoyin Yosef? Die willst hören?
Ja.
Das ist Polish Chassidus. Ich bin nicht interessiert, so Polish Chassidus. Ich will, als es bei dir sein, Vayemoyin Yosef. Weil die bist a Yosef. Sagt Rashi, was sagt Rashi? Az ra diyukne shel aviv, nitzel lefanav. Stell sich vor, eineni gadol b'bayis chutz mimeni. Yosef Atzadik hat the ganze, he's able to Moshe B'Kippur. Already when he's in the Eved, he's a Moshe B'Kippur. Kommt Eishes Potiphar und sagt, du bist ein Yefe Yefe Mara, Shichve Imadi. And no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know why, because Vayhi Bayim and Einish Babayis. No one is in the house. So who's gonna tell? And she comes to him and she says, Shifchi Imi. Sagt Rashi, Yosef was almost about to succumb to the Yetzer Hara. But then, Ra Dukne Demus Aviv. What's Pshat to Ra Demus Aviv? He's so many years away from his father. So what is he so afraid? He sees his father. He has a Psahavim that he's going to see his father once again. So the Rebbe wants the Farbrengen of Yud Tes Kislev, because Yud Tes Kislev is many times like this year Parshas Vayeshev. So the Rebbe explained, the Gemara says about Yaakov Avinu that Shufra de Yaakov Ein Shufra Shel Adam Rishon. The Yaakov Avinu had the features of Adam Rishon. He looked very similar to Adam Rishon. What does it say about Adam Rishon? That Lafikach Nivra Adam Yechidi. Adam Rishon was the only one in the world. One of the biggest pituya Yetzer Hara is was wird sein if you're going to do something wrong. So you're going to be a failure, but there's so many other people that will do the right thing. The Welt steht auf dir. The Meister was Gratz Patotsky, that you, everything, the whole world is standing haptach for dir. Nah. You're one person and 15 million Yidden and 7.5 billion humans. Marasha, du was liegen einach mit Petifers Freu. Fran andere, was kennen wir gerade sein Shem Shamayim. Who says it has to be you? Ra Demus Dukne Shel Aviv. Who is the Mus Dukne Shel Aviv? Yaakov Avinu. Who is Yaakov Avinu? Shufra de Yaakov me'ein Shufra de Adam Rishon. Lefikach nivra Adam Yechidi, because b'shvila nivra. There's only one. There's only you. There's no one else. If you don't do it, immediately. If not you, who? That's what kept Yosef Avinu. It's very easy to live in a world and say, I don't count, so what? Habe ich verfehlt am Meirev? Habe ich verfehlt am Baruch? Habe ich verfehlt? There's plenty Charedim that daven Meirev today. Daven Mincha, and answered Moedim, and answered Kedusha. Habe ich verfehlt? It's you. You need to do it. And that's what the Rebbe was trying to prove with the money. It's not like it's a gimmick 4 times. You're for real. You understand that Rosh Hashanah is a special day. You understand that Rosh Hashanah is supposed to cause a change in your life. You understand that Yom Kippur is supposed to cause you to be even elevated even more than Rosh Hashanah. And then comes Yom Sukkot, darfst dich geben a Treis und noch a Tefach. And now your Simchas Torah is supposed to be mamish. It's a emes. It's a great song out of them. You know the story. It's a Pinchas Hirschsprung. Ja, aber wisst ihr, Rosh Hashiva von Montreal, Abake B'Shas, von Talmidim von Yeshivas Chachman Lublin. Hast du mal gehört von der Pinchas Hirschsprung? Ha? You remember him, Stov? Huh? Gekend, geheid hem over een beetje. Gewoon Bilze, dus geen zacht, man.
The plane ride from Montreal.
But he was a Baki B'Shas. He knew Rashi, Tesis, frontwards and backwards. The Pinchas Hishpam. At Amos, he was in New York, and he asked the Rebbe, he says, what's he making such a big shtur about Mashiach? Yeah, there ain't a gleib for Mashiach. Who doesn't believe in Mashiach? Huh? I won't believe in Mashiach. Why is the Rebbe trying to make a shtur of Mashiach? So the Rebbe asked him, do you know this guy in Montreal? Yeah. Are you ready to loan him a few $100 that he'll pay you back when Mashiach comes? Huh? Huh?
Wow.
Yeah? Pay it back when Mashiach comes. Then he understood that what the Rebbe was talking about was something, a different league. You understand?
So was that big Geld?
For Geld, for was Geld? For Mammon is Maimed Adam. A mensch, a person needs money to live. A person, this is Chaye Nafshoy. A certain, for what? The way as the kind of fragen, das aber Kasha. The way was Tafteire for Shabbos HaGadol is. Ah? Es gewöhnt sich, du verschiedene Menagem. Sie man sagt das nur, wenn es Shabbos, also man sagt das nur Dafke, wenn es nicht Shabbos. Pesach, wenn man sagt Dafke Pesach, man sagt Dafke, wenn es nicht Pesach. Schläft schon. Aber dort ist da ein Pasuk, was der Navi sagt, Bechanuni na beseis. Wegen was? Das bringen Tvuis, Elitzreisheit, das bringt Geld, und Tame, der bringt das Geld, der bringt die Tvuis, der Meisters, ist Varikesi, Lachem, Bracha, Adblidai. Wenn es Bechanuni na beseis, der einzige mitfindet ganze Teure, was der Eibischte sagt, as is beseder gamur. Bechanuni na beseis, you can test me when it comes to money. You know why? Because in our world, money is real. It's the reality. In other words, der even aboichen zu a mensch is norman a safel chutz, otherwise emes lamitoi is a great song Geld for them. You understand? It's simple. Rebbe, give Geld. Ja? Ha, Rebbe Geld. Ha? Chavra, we need to be real. It's easy to say Moidani L'fanachem El Chavekayim. And it's easy if we do according to the Nusach of that Hareidim Makabal Lai Mitzvah Say Shavahaftu Rech says it's easy. It's easy. Avzagan. Medafton. We have to be able to be ready to sit for another 3 hours in the house of a Misnagid in order to be able to demonstrate what's Pshat Abbas Yisrael. Verstehst? Charata? No, the Rebbe had pain, but the Rebbe didn't have charata. I didn't hear charata.
It's a blind. You can see, no?
Well, Chaim.
No? Have this.
No, and that.
What? I heard this.
Listen to the Farbrengen of Tav Shlamut Ches.
It paid for breathing in the
Adjusting it.
Huh?
There we go.
It paid for being in the house.
Pain? Does that mean he had charata?
Then after he drank the tea, he said, no, you shouldn't have drank the tea.
I didn't hear.
That's taking it.
It's not the way the Rebbe's house was heard.
No.
Hine matei
Umanoi Shevezari Gam Yoram
Hine
matei Manoi Gam Yoram La da 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 La da 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 Ayama Ayama La da la Yama Ayama Ayama La da da da
Listen to the Farbrengen, Tashlam Chas. Listen to the Farbrengen, Tashlam Chas. That's the way the Rebbe tells the story. The real Avraham Sternberg could be in the following story. Frier here, Rabbi Morozov sat over here. Rabbi Morozov had an alter zayda. His alter zayda was Rabbi Chanya Morozov. He's Yechanan. He has cousins, Alchanan. Similar name, but it's a different name. His age is already 102 years old. It's almost 102 years old. His father was Rabbi Avraham Morozov. Rabbi Avraham Morozov was a chaver of the Frierdiker Rebbe. At the time of the Rebbe Rashab, he was like a colleague, chavrusa. Later, he became a secretary of the Frierdiker Rebbe. But this was in time of the Rebbe Nishma Seid and the Rebbe Rashab. This was during Tsarist Russia. At that time, there was a draft. The draft was every boy, when he was 18, 19, whatever it was, needed to submit to a certain vetting to see whether you're fit to serve the Red Army. So Rabbi Achanan was drafted. In other words, he was called to be tested, to be scrutinized, to see whether or not he fits the bill. And there was tension in the Lubavitch. Everybody was waiting. The Rebbe Nishma Seder was waiting to hear. He gave him a bracha. He was waiting to hear the results. The chaverim, the colleagues of Rebbe Achanan, were all waiting to hear. You know Rebbe Achanan. The Mendel Morozov is the Zavit in the Koil in Williamsburg. Huh? Mendel Farbrengen is here too.
No, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he's related to me too. Anyway, and finally, towards the late afternoon, began the Meister. News has arrived that that he was let go. Baruch Hashem, he got a exemption. Reb Chanei Chendel was a chassid. Reb Chanei Chendel, a fatzaitish chassid. At the time of the Rebbe Nishmas Eden, was so excited that Rebbe Chanan was let free, that he was let go, that he started dancing, and because he was overwhelmed and overtaken by the excitement, he lost himself a little bit and he ran in to the study, to the private room of the Rebbe Nishmas Eden, and he started dancing, singing Chanye Zareis, Chanye Zareis, Chanye Zareis. That Chanye Marazov was freed. He was all excited. The Rebbe Nishmas Eden caught on to the excitement of Rebbe Chanei Chendel, and he started dancing with them Chanye Zareis, Chanye Zareis. And then when the singing stopped, he said, for this we deserve to say Amay Mechsidis. And he said Amay Mechsidis. This is what the Frierdiker Rebbe writes in Kutei Devarim. You know, we are so used to helping people when they have a tzara. Baruch Hashem, there's misaskim, there's atzola, there is arevim. Now, what I'm saying is, naturally, it's so much easier. Mehet atzura Rahman Lutzlan. Someone's child is very sick. The emergency need, we need to raise $300,000 for a procedure. The person doesn't have insurance, whatever it is. People are ready to pour out the pockets. But what happens if someone won the lottery? Are we really happy to win the lottery? We say, why did he win the lottery? He doesn't deserve it. He's a derek, he's a schmuck, In other words, apiteva, it's much easier to be mishtatif b'tzaroi shel chaveiroi, with someone's pain, than being mishtatif b'simchas chaveiroi. Chassidus comes to tell us, of course we have to be mishtatif b'tzaroi shel chaveiroi, it's a mitzvah. But what's the uftu from Chassidus? To truly rejoice in someone else's joy. Chanye Zareis, Tanzich. Chanye Zareis, I run in, I lose myself. I run into the Rebbe Nishmas Eden's room, and I'm dancing with the Rebbe Nishmas Eden. Av dem sagt the Rebbe Nishmas Eden, Amay Mechsidis, because Chassidus hat aufgetan that this person is able to really go out of his box for someone else's simcha. And that's Bama's the Inyan of Chassidus, what Chassidus getan is. Of course, Yidden Rachmanu b'nei Rachmanu, it's to help somebody based Sarah. But to truly verginnen jenem, nicht nur verginnen, der Emes dike sein zufrieden und sich freuen mit jedem Simcha, das ist der Emes der Even Abeuchen, sie halt bei Chassidus das nicht. L'chaim, the Nakudas, to be Mesakim, everything we said today is that we have to take every idea we ever heard by a Shir Chassidus, or by Chassidus Farbrengen, and it has to become not a theory, but a reality. Nicht a good word, no, we have to leben with them. This has to change who we are. And then it justifies why the Alter Rebbe sat in prison. The Alter Rebbe sat in prison so that we, 219 years later, should be able to apply a deep concept of Chassidus and say it's going to change who we are. And if it was just Havoras Yad al Meitzach, then it wouldn't have had the effect today. But since it came down, the Chachma Bin and Das, it came down through the process. The Alter Rebbe worked through the world to make this happen. So the Rabbeim afterwards continued to work the world and made it applicable, made it so that we're able to test it. And the Rebbe and his benevolence from time to time proved to us and tried to say, I'm going to lift you up. Ich will dir aufheben na Tefach von Welt. You are able to, despite the fact that you think that you are so coarse and so grub and so pragmatic and so bottom line oriented, you're able to from time to time say, that's what Chassidus wants. Chassidus doesn't want us to forget about the world, because we live here in this world. Chassidus wants that despite that we live in this world, and the world means something to us, from time to time we should be able to transcend it. Not to ignore it, not to burn it, not to destroy it. I say, yes, the world is real, and it's scary. Aber fort man kann sich aufstellen, als der Vergleich von. And we're able to do it. We just have to want to do it. Aderei b'shtavek gabin, gizon tzulabin, v'ala mizich zal, mitod zarabin. Aderei b'shtavek gabin, gizon tzulabin, v'ala mizich zal, mitod zarabin. Ay, Rabbi, yo, Rabbi. And Bahamas, 18 Suleimar, that call on now is a Gemara in Tainus. That Rabbi Yitzchak Aviyosef Besutza, he was sitting and eating Farbrengen, gesessen, gepravet Asidas, Hilula von der Jahrzeit, von der Magid von Mezritsch. Hilula Rabbi. Sagt man, einmal man will, so etwas ein Wort. Nu, sofort, ein heiliger Tag, so etwas, so Lacham, Wetten, Säure. Sagt er, was heißt ich, so ein Wort? Mit heute nicht reden, am erst. Ja? Hast du das ab? Was du meinst, Chazal? Man kann nicht reden mit dem Essen. Aber vorher habe ich gestimmt und gesagt, als es steht, als Jakob Avinu Leimeis. Dachte, was heißt Jakob in Leimeis? Was ist genau? Wie lebst du? Lebst du in El Mateo? You're in La La Land. You're living in a fantasy world. It's the Chabafedish that we know that Chantu Chantayu, Softus of Dayu, V'kavru Kavrayu. Was hackst du Chainik? Was sagst du Yaakov in Leimeis when it clearly says in the Torah that it was Chantu Chantayu, Softus of Dayu, V'kavru Kavrayu? No, was einfach eine gute Kasche, was einfach man? Man sagt, he answers him, wie Ayid antwortet. Fragst mal Kasche, was sagst du mir wahrscheinlich? Ich weiß nicht, was du drehst da Kopf. Mikrani derisch. Mazare b'chayim, afu b'chayim. In other words, this is the eternal struggle of the Jewish people, that there's two opposites that are always contending with us. One reality says that Elam is B'Pshitus and Elikus is B'Yischachus. That the world is real and godliness is secondary, is something novel, something second, not as real as the world. Huh?
Divorce. It's like an escape.
Yeah, but when you learn Chassidus, it tells us just the opposite. That Elikus is real, and the world is B'Yischachus. You know, there's a whole famous thing. What does it mean when the Torah says that Bereish is bara l'kim es hashmayim v'saaretz? If Elikus is real, is the world just an illusion? Maybe the world is just an illusion. So it says no. How could the world be an illusion if the Torah says Bereish is bara l'kim, the Torah is real? So we're struggling with two realities. One that the Torah tells us that Elikus is real. One the Torah tells us the world is real. Which is true? Both are true. And that's what Chassidus is here to teach us. The Chassidus is here to teach us that if you, for a moment, forget about your ego and forget about your seichel, that everything has to make sense, and realize that there's some true principles that sometimes transcend seichel. Yes, it comes down to the seichel. You see that there's two tracks. The world is real, but it's infused with the Eibishter. And the Eibishter is even more real and transcends the world, and one is not astirah to the other. One reality is that Chanta Chantaya v'Savta Savdaya v'Kaver Kavrayu. Why? Rashi says Nidmol Hem Shumeis. So what is Rashi saying? It was just psa, a false zach. If Nidmol Hem Shumeis al Pitera Ein L'dayin Ela Mashayin Evrayas. So if Nidmol Hem Shumeis, then mechuyev to be saftos of dayu cover kavrayu. If they would not be saftos of dayu and cover kavrayu, they would be seis in the halacha. Stell sich vor, you're sitting Rahman al-Tzlan with your father, your grandfather, and nidmul leishu meis. Was steht in Shulchan Aruch? Stem a feather, yeah, and put by the nose and see if there's something moving. And if not, what does Torah say? Mace. What does Torah say once he's mace? Kavru kavrayu, must graben. The hasish keep bereda. Because there's a mitzvah that you should be galafar tashuv. You cover sich bereda b'yemahu. Tamad of Zayin Iber Chacham to sagen, ich will nicht begraben because be'emes I believe that hu chai bis ta ever if I do Shulchan Aruch. Why? Because Torah tells you when nid malay shahu maze, and you did all the test that the Torah tells you how to test if a person is chai and maze, you mechuyev to begraben. Der selbe Torah sagt aber that could be nid malay shahu maze, and you mechuyev to be covering him. And baby bad bavad, you have to know the Be'emes Yaakov Yonlai Meis. It's a cook days v'astir minei bay. Good. Take this forward to this. Tamei dike Tafshim Mem Aleph Chaf Cheshvan. Meise mit 37 Jahren zurück. Tafshim Mem Aleph was 120 years from the birth of the Rebbe Rashab. Yeah? Rebbe Rashab was born in Kisra, so Tashvim Aleph. So the Rebbe started a very long sikha, it lasted over an hour. And we used it on the pasuk of Shira Malois of Kapitel Kuf Chaf Aleph, because it's 120 years. So what is Kuf Chaf Aleph? Shira Malois Esa Einay Eloharim Me'ayin Yavi Ezri Me'im Hashem Ezer Shemaim Varetz. So there is the classical way of understanding what the pshat of the pasuk is, that a person is lost and says, Me'ayin Yavi Ezri, I don't know, I don't see. And then a person comes and says, Varetz da Eibishter is Ezer Me'im Hashem Ezer Shemaim Varetz. Maybe the Eibishter will help me. Chassidus tells us, you have a question, that question is actually your answer. Because may ayin, from a level which is called ayin, which is not, because it's transcendent, it's beyond understanding, Yava Yazri, that's where your salvation will come from. In other words, it's not a question, it's an answer. So the Rebbe asked, and in this was 1980, this was a few months before Israel bombed the Iraqi the Iraqi nuclear reactor, right? May and June of 81. This was in October, maybe November of 80. And it was that time, the whole year, where the Rebbe was talking about the Welt Shokotzach, that the world is in a state of it was very vulnerable, shaky. So the Rebbe said, how can you demand from a person to believe that Me'ayin Yavi Ezi, that God is going to help with everything, when the reality is that the Welt Shokotzach, and that it's such a scary time. What did the Rebbe say? He hanesenas. The whole purpose of Torah and the whole purpose of the creation of the world is that two realities should be able to live in harmony. That the Welt Shokotzach, but God will help. That it is a state of chaos, but you know that Ma'ayin Yavi Ezri. And what's the conclusion of that sikha? That Rebbe then takes the practical application, which is very apropos for tonight. The Rebbe says, we're sitting in Brooklyn, New York on a Thursday afternoon, on Thursday evening, 120 years after the birth of the Rebbe Rashab. So a person's going to ask, what do I have to do with something that happened 120 years ago? I'm living in a different country, in a different city, in a different state of mind, a different era. So the Rebbe said that's what the whole point is. The point is that Chassidus is here to teach us that despite the fact that you're so detached from the original story, because 120 years has passed and you're in a whole different country, you have the ability to connect to it. And then the Rebbe comes and says the following: A jeder einer kann sich missbeinen sein. Für eine Minute. Der Rebbe adds gleich Wörtel, nicht also wie der Rav, der Jakob, was gesagt, als guckt auf den Seger und fast 1 Minute gesagt Shema für eine ganze Minute. But the person should be misbein enough an ernst to neifen. As Ot geht rein zum Rebbe Nishmasein auf Herrn am Einwechseldes. 120 years passed. We're in Brooklyn. Tavshim Aleph. Yeah? Tavshim Aleph is not only 120 years from Shnas Kisra, it's over 61 years from Tafresh Pei, from the Stalkers from the Rebbe Nishmasein. Und gesagt hat Jiden, kann sich misbeinen sein, als Ort geht rein, Herrn am Einwechseldes von der Rebbe Nishmasein. What is the Rebbe saying? That if you take Chassidus V'Stavzayin, then you're able to transcend time and then transcend space. And in that same sikha, the Rebbe talks about that it can't be that you're living, just because you're living in Brooklyn, that you have a craving to have wall-to-wall carpet, which was a craze in the 70s and the 80s to have. Today everyone is ripping out the carpets. But then the wall-to-wall carpet was a big craze. A Hollywood kitchen was a big thing, right? So the Rebbe was saying it's pasnished. A chassid that learned about Ein Mavadi, how does he have a wall-to-wall carpet? So the kud over here we're trying to say is that everything we learn on Maimer, everything we learn on Sicha, we learn on Perek Tanya, needs to be applied. We need to ask ourselves, when we learn about Avos Yisrael, are we ready to be Mesameach B'Simchas Chaveiroi? Are we ready to dance at Chanya Zareis? Are we ready to be able to give tzedakah more than our yechelos, because we believe that the pasuk in Torah says B'Chanunah B'Zeis is real? Are we ready to be able to say Shir Amalis Esa Einayin Oharim Ayin Yavi Ezri and know that it's B'dichusa? Are we ready to be able to live in Taf Shemam Aleph and think about Taf Reish Chaf Aleph? Are we able to live in Taf Shinayin Ches and realize that it's 40 years of Taf Shelamet Ches, and as if we were there at Taf Shelamet Ches? Kol Zeh, it's all this is the Nekuda Tichena, and this is the Evna Beichel, and this is why the Alter Rebbe sat in prison, and this is why the Alter Rebbe wanted there should be Emes Lamitoi, so we should realize that when we learn about Chassidus, it's not just a theory. Azay, this is real. L'chaim Avraham.